Hello and welcome to WBC's election coverage. I am here joined with people from other two agencies, including Serena Broadcast and HKBTV. I will also soon be joined by some other people from here on the WBC panel. But this is at the start going to be a joint broadcast, and then later on we're going to proceed to WBC only portion of the broadcast, which will be covering the election results. But for now, we're going to be covering what's happened throughout the campaign, what's happened throughout the past couple of months, and we're going to see how this turns out. Hi Liam, hi Januki, and hi DC.
Hi.
Hi guys.
Alright. So, in your opinion, how do you think that this campaign is more active and more lively than previous campaigns that have happened, like last election?
I think
I would say,
yeah, of course,
Authority can go
definitely.
first. Authority goes first. Maybe.
Um,
Yeah.
I think all parties are being more active during the campaign, and also considering that there are like much more candidates running in this election, and not only the party leaders are campaigning, all the members are campaigning together. And as DC mentioned a while ago in the Cantonese discussion, there's less negative campaigning during this campaigning period. Uh, Less candidates are criticizing each other, one another to gain votes, which I think is a pretty nice thing. And as another candidate from your party has also mentioned, there's a lot more messages in the election chat in the last 2 weeks comparing to other election campaigns, which I think as a candidate myself, I enjoyed the campaigning period really much, and all the interactions with other candidates and other people were very fun for me.
Yeah, well, I guess it's already finished, so I would just continue. I'm DC, and yeah, I think that this election is kind of new for the current. So actually, most of the previous campaign, we can see the focuses maybe is on anti-HVP or HVP. It's more likely, especially during the 2024 October election or 2025 April election. But since BR have joined, actually, the whole focuses have been shifted to some more, I would say, policy-based discussion. And this election, together with the new system being tested in a test run, and of course, it will depend on how the referendum goes tonight. If the referendum goes tonight, say that the majority of people against the idea, then we'll revert back to the old system. But since it was a test run, actually it caught some flaws, as I've mentioned earlier, in the discussion in the BTV part, and I'll just mention a bit again. It's like some flaws have happened, but still, I think the election system itself, the election reform, is a good idea as it was a compromise or a agreement reached by three parties and also the Senate, giving the Iranians a better democratic mandate. Well, to the election itself, as Adora have mentioned earlier, I would say that this campaign is a lot less negative campaign. Of course, as you mentioned, maybe some parties members, for example, the current HPP Prime Minister and one of the big figures inside the BAR have actually caused some argument inside the election chat channel, and also there are some leak of private chats which shouldn't be happened in normal democracies. But I would say that it still means that the Haronian democracies required a room for improvement, and we are walking towards the right direction. And I also appreciate that in this election, three parties have put aside what they were like blinded for. For example, some personal beliefs or personal dissatisfaction across the benches. And I would say that they are really discussing something that are policy-based, and they are really reaching agreement on making the Haronians better. And I'm leaving a room I'm leaving like an open room, as party leaders may agree with me, that the final government formation is still an open room, and we don't know whether what deal will be due. It will depend on your choice and your vote to know it.
All right. Hi guys, Liam here. So I think that this election was definitely more lively than the last election. At least from the election chat's perspective. Because as you can see in the chat right now, although it's closed because of the cooldown period, um, uh, actually I think that there's more uh, discussions and more campaigns and less toxic um, toxic messages and chats between the candidates and different representatives from different parties. And so, yeah, I think that this election is definitely better and more lively than the last election.
All right. Now, I would like to just quickly welcome fellow panelists, Mipslurp52 for now being here.
Yo.
No, hi.
I,
But I suppose we should move on to next point of topic. Overall, this campaign has been quite interesting. But as we reach the end to it, what do we all think the results are going to be? Plurality,
I think
majority,
the
which party is
I
second,
think the
third, fifth?
result,
Hmm.
since the current system actually, as I've mentioned before, you have to get some like at least around 50% of the vote to get a majority. And if you quote in real life example, example, New Zealand, it's actually hard to get. So I would say that this will be a hung parliament. I would say that the three parties are actually having a quite, I would say, quite tight race. But I would say that if I have to predict, then I would say that HPP will be on the course to win the first party, but not with a big majority, maybe a few votes and a one seat margin. But still, we're allowing them according to constitutional procedure, they will still proceed to try to form the government in the upcoming weeks. So I would say a hung parliament with a HPP in as the first at the largest party.
All right.
all right.
Liam, what about
So
you? What do you think the results are going to be for the election?
okay. So I think that uh, first of all, the BAR has some kind of controversy coming up recently because of the split within the party between the Yoshi Pai side and the Marco side. Um, it's actually I think it's pretty much solved right now, but I think this will affect the turnouts for BL for I think a solid 10 to 15%. So let's look at the remaining parties as well. So this election has seen the HPP joining hands with Aurora, so it's essentially registered as an alliance instead of a singular political party. So the odds for winning for HPP in this election will be higher than the last. And of course, NI would um, not be left behind as well because as far as I know, all of the NI candidates have also been planning this from I think 1 to 2 months ago, at least from a reliable source. So I think um, at least the chances of winning between NI and the HPP are equal or more or less equal.
And Maple, what about you? Who do you think is gonna win and how?
That's a tough one. I mean, can't really predict the future, but it's probably most likely going to be very varied.
All right. So, moving on from that, I believe when we were planning this, there were discussions about some trivia. Feel free to correct me. Okay, I'm assuming that.
Sure, why not?
I
Alright.
believe so.
All right.
Is that for me?
I'm thinking what we could do is that me and DC ask Maple and Liam some Harlonian history trivia questions, and we see how many each of you get right.
All right.
Would be a good idea, I would say. Interesting idea.
Let's see how much I fumble.
All right. Which one of you wants to get asked first? I guess.
I'd prefer to go last.
Maybe I can go first. I would try it, taste it. Maybe I can answer it,
All right. Who was the prime minister that introduced the Events Overhaul Act?
Can you speak again the question? I cannot hear the back part of the question.
Who was the prime minister that introduced the Events Overhaul Act?
Even for Harlon, everyone for Harlon Act?
The Events Overhaul Act.
The overall. Oh gosh. Overall. Oh, that was a difficult one then. Actually, then probably one is that as far as I mentioned is either Westray or Chile, I would say.
Would you like me to tell you the answer?
I would, because I cannot really
Kangaroo
remember that.
567.
567. So is actually you or not? Well, actually no. Yeah, I would say it's either.
I'm gonna need to tell
serious?
Kang
That's the
that
answer?
now, and he's gonna get very annoyed at that concept. All right. I guess we can go in. Do we want to go reverse clockwise or clockwise?
You pick.
Okay. I'm gonna choose
Your
reverse
choice.
clockwise so I can ask you a question next.
All right.
All right. Okay. So, Maple. A prime minister. There has only been one prime minister in Harlonian history that has actually, like, legally speaking, formed a minority government. Who was that?
Okay. It wouldn't be you, would it?
No, it was not me.
Okay.
I will say though, at some point I did try and form a coalition, and at least one person in this room was contributing to blocking that coalition.
Okay. All right. I don't know that many people on the server, Nick.
You want me to list the prime ministers?
Or do we want to give
Sure,
him
you
some?
can give me.
I would say
Yeah, give me some tips here.
it's more like a older prime minister. It's not the new prime minister, because actually since we got the constitution, actually the possibility of minority government has decreased a lot. So it's actually more older prime minister, much older one.
I see.
So
An older one.
Prime ministers in order go Kangaroo 567, then Keonian, or Sir Penguin May at the time. Then we have Nexelin. Then we have the Golden Portal. Then we have me, NicheGuy. Then we have Westray. Then we have me again. Then afterwards we have Chillman. Then we have Chocolate Rep, and then afterwards we have Yoshi Pai, who is the current incumbent prime minister, who is outgoing.
Would it be 6-7 then? That
It,
individual?
that cannot be the way you know Kang,
Are they the oldest?
but no, it wasn't Kang.
Okay, okay.
Kang actually formed a one-party majority government during his second term, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong, though. His first term was a three-party coalition government.
Oh, okay. So it's Kang.
No, it was not Kang. We're looking for a minority
okay.
government.
Okay,
You can get
minority.
it by order.
Was it that chocolate person you mentioned?
No,
really.
Chocolate actually formed a single-party majority government. He's also nowhere close to being a older prime minister.
Okay.
You want me to tell
You got me
the
at a
answer?
loss here. I shot
want
my
it?
answers to the board and I missed.
All right. The
So, yeah, you can tell me
answer
the answer.
is Nexelin.
Next one.
Really?
I was trying to avoid that answer.
In October 2021, the Harlon Business Party formed a minority government, and Nexelin was the person who led that government.
I see.
All right.
Yeah, and it is actually the latest minority government as actually we still haven't find, at least I didn't find the record of how he became prime minister, as technically we got the cabinet bill, cabinet proposal list, but still I didn't get it, so I didn't know how it was formed, but technically that government ran quite smooth, unexpectedly, unlike other minority governments.
I do actually remember the vote. It passed through the House unanimously, if I remember correctly. I actually checked up on it a couple of weeks ago when I was editing the wiki for the Harlem Progress Party.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. All right,
Interesting.
Liam, it's your turn to get asked a question. Liam, in 2023, a act was passed to help companies operate more efficiently with money. What was that act?
Is that the... Wait,
Actually, it might have been 2022. But
okay.
it's a pretty notable act. So either way.
To help businesses to work more efficiently. Okay. I think more of like in the lines of business reform act. I don't know.
No. Would you like a hint?
Yes, please.
The word business is in the title, and but if you speak to any form of business in Harlan, and what do they typically ask for, when they go to the government?
I think they will ask for either a budget or a permit.
That is unfortunately the incorrect answer. The correct answer was the Business Grants and Loans Act.
Oh.
I may need to stop throwing such hardballs because I'm not sure if you guys are gonna get it otherwise.
You have to start with the easier one.
All right. Okay. DC. In 2024, something unique happened in which something unique happened in which a constitutional a constitutional interpretation had to occur because in an election, what happened in 2024?
That election was actually about the whether Solaris is actually a constitutional allowed one. It was like Solaris is actually I would say a party that is multinational across except Harlon is actually operating in more places. So that cases was actually becoming a rather important one as it actually uh become a constitutional cases that actually brought forward to the first to the Supreme Court for further I would say decision. And turns out it was dismissed.
Um, that is technically a answer that one could use, but not what I was looking for. Um, do you want me to give a hint?
Maybe I can guess I can add something on my answer. It's actually about the election fraud one. I would say is that as far as I remember, is relating to electional fraud one, and it's like more like because other people was joining the Harold at that time the election, so it's actually causing quite a lot of problems. Is that the one are finding?
No, that would be a criminal case, which was, if I remember correctly, the first criminal case in Harlan, so that did set precedent, but it's not what I was looking for. I'm talking about something that happened in October 2024, and in the election, the results. What was unique about those results?
Oh, that result. Actually, that was if you mean the election result, and it's actually the so-called the few election that actually Harun the uh at that time the Harun Progress Party actually lost its majority dominator since the 2022, I guess, and the Liberal Party of Harun actually initially agreed to form a united opposition cabinet, but turns out LPH have the leader at that time, Pro of Survival, which is like a HPP member, have tend to form a coalition with the Progress Party and causing a split inside the LPH, which then Chocolate Rap leading one as one of the MP in the Liberal Party actually turns out and formed the Civil Party, but it was actually not being elected. So his mandate or his status inside the House of Assembly was actually quite awkward at that time, according to what I recorded.
It does relate to the LPH, but not what I was looking for. What I was looking for was the fact that the LPH won more seats than they had candidates.
Oh,
They're,
I thought too complicated. I
they're,
make it too complicated, you know.
yeah,
I make it too complicated.
I would like to also quickly welcome Yoshi on the panel.
Hi.
Hello,
Hi, Yoshi.
incoming Prime Minister. I guess since we're going counterclockwise, I can actually ask you the next trivia question. Okay.
Okay.
What year was the first Olympics held?
2022.
I think that's correct. Yeah.
You know why I know that? Because it's near my house.
Oh, that's convenient.
Yeah. It was held in Oxville, and I live on the Oxville-Wixley border, so...
See, hopefully, I suppose, relating to that, I'm not sure if most of you have seen, but, while we started the broadcast, all of the metro lines went down, so, except the M5, I think. I could be wrong. Hold on, let me check.
The M3 is also just fine, because I took it, 15 minutes ago.
Oh, yeah. All of the metro lines, or well, more specifically, the M1, M11, M2, and M3 are all down. So, RIP transit in Harlan, I guess. But yeah. Okay. Maple, we're moving on to you next.
Yep.
What What day did New Harlon open?
New Harlon.
Yes.
I'm gonna guess somewhere in March. Either like March 15th? 15?
No. Would you like a hint?
It is a singular day, right?
It is a singular day.
I'm gonna shoot for August now. August 20th.
You're warmer, but not the day.
Okay.
Would you like a hint?
How many chances do I got?
I'm gonna give you
Sure.
2 more chances.
Give me a hint.
Okay. My hint is that it is in the summer, and you whatchamacallit?
Okay.
It's 10 days away from your birthday. On a direction.
Okay.
Actually, no, it's 12 days away. My bad.
Would that be
By that I mean as in like 12. It's in the summer and it's 12 days away from your birthday, as in like any month. You add or minus.
Oh, okay. I get what you mean. Is it July? Let me go for July 17th then. Around there. I'm gonna go for 17th.
That was an incredibly good guess. Jesus.
Almost there. Okay.
My
last shot in the dark.
No, I said that was a good guess. You got it.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice. Awesome. Beautiful.
You're scaring him, you know. You're scaring him. This guy's scared. Oh, I got wrong.
All right. Liam, we're moving on to you now. On what day was the Golden Portal's government taken down? What day did the no confidence motion pass?
I don't recall exactly, but I think that is I think August or September of 2021 or something. So my initial guess will be 16th of August.
You're close.
That's a close one, actually.
Yeah. Alright, so you're close, but I will say quickly, it was not in 2021, and you went a bit too far on terms of the day.
So August was correct, I think. So the 9th of August, I think.
Closer, but you gotta go a bit further back.
Okay, so final guess, 3rd of August.
That was correct. Good job.
Ooh. Oh, that was correct guess.
It's actually fun to play that, you know, because it's quite exciting, I would say.
Alright. Alright, do you want to do more trivia or move on to another thing?
I guess we can do got something to discuss about. Do you think anything is important about this election, or do you think that something's like worth mentioning this election? Any news is fine, I guess.
Okay, so I suppose I need to figure out something which isn't inherently political because we aren't past the deadline yet, and I can't influence someone's votes. But I would say that it's been enjoyable to reach out to people on a writing basis and hear their opinions and their takes, and understand what future constituents may want, and I would advocate for them in Parliament if I were to be elected. I would say that was pretty enjoyable from the election, but
I would say that on the other hand, actually the new system we give a quite lot of rise to new players, and also like I would say that it's a kind of side effect, but I think it's positive. Actually after the census, actually everyone is looking for buildings and everyone is looking for shops. Actually, I'm joking with like NI members earlier. I would say that the property market in Harlon is very like booming. I know, if everyone is looking for houses, everyone is looking for jobs. So, the property market going heated. And I guess that probably is a good, it's a good, funny one in this election. And also, it actually give rise to quite many new, I'll say, new political comers. For example, the BAL actually nominated quite a lot of political newcomers, or they are just newcomers to Harrow. I think it's a good try. And XGB as well, nominator, for example, Malpo is actually a newcomer to the politics, although not that new, just like me. I've been on the list, but I don't get elected last term. But I guess it is a good try for us to find newer generation for the politics, since we cannot always stay on this seat. So it's like more like we'll just pass on the torches to other candidates. But actually, I would concern that as I was in the last election, I would say they have also mentioned about the whether they know much about Harrow. So I mean, it still takes us some time to look at, but I still think that if we can give them a try, for example, like Malpo or other candidates, then we might can actually get some newer, I would say, faces in the politics. As I've mentioned, I mean, like a year ago on the ceremonial broadcast column. So actually Yoshi and Maple Yoshi actually joined after we discussed about the outcome of the election. Any idea on like how the outcome of the election will be as you're predicting?
Uh, I mean, the outcome of the election is. I mean, I'm hoping there's an HPP majority. Given that I am an HPP prime minister after all.
least biased take ever.
But like, I'm not hoping for like, I don't think there's gonna be like, HPP getting 11 out of 11 seats. That's just unrealistic. And also, I don't want an 11th term for myself. Jesus Christ.
We are still waiting for you getting elected. We can see you in the parliament for another term, despite you don't want.
Yeah, till you're 90.
You want to keep it there?
Yeah, I would agree with DC on the newcomers thing because in terms of I've also seen this in the HPP. Aside from Yoshi, West, me, and Code, over half of our slate is new, which could not be said about the last election. And of those new people, only me and Code are we're the only two at the top half which are from the older generation of the HPP. It's been enjoyable to see someone like Caravillain, Probe Survival, BP39 get their start in the party, and I can't wait to see what they're gonna do if they're elected. Same goes inside of the other parties, like in Bar with Very Alex and I guess Skeppy has returned to politics, and Kreka could be interesting. But yeah, it's been really nice to see a newer generation of Harlonians take up the mantle from us older politicians now.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, it's like most of the most of the parties actually at least promote one or two new players, and if like HPP or PL actually promote quite a lot of new players, which is a good one for continuing the democracy. It's yeah necessary for democracy to have like generational change, and older generation can still being a important figure inside in the political stage. Maybe the main protagonists will be those who new comes to Harrow.
Liam, what about you?
Alright, so first of all, NicheGuy, as you are one of the I think the people behind the ideas of uh, the election reform and the consultancy things. I just want to ask you some questions. So, uh, do you think that the referendum for local constituencies would have a high chance to pass? And also, if that will pass, what will you do to ensure that uh, each each constituency is properly reflected in future elections?
Well, personally, as a civil servant, I would help to work and make sure that constituencies are divided equally and in favor of regional identities. As an example, I think Sealand's a pretty good one. We're very prideful, in case you can't tell. Je parle français, and the flag and all. But um, aside from that, I think it has a very decent likelihood to pass. Um, I'm very confident that it's gonna pass with a majority. I'm less confident if it's gonna reach the 66% mark, but I think it will. And I can't if it does, I can't wait for the system because this was a idea worked on between all three party leaders, or at least at the time. Asa is no longer with us in the sense he's no longer a party leader. He's not dead, but uh,
Whoa, a dangerous one.
uh,
A dangerous
uh,
one.
yeah. But as it stands, I'm hoping it does pass. If it does, then I think we're gonna have a better time in Harlem politics as we get to represent constituents and we get more direct local issues. As an example, something I heard on the campaign trail was some industry and rabat, which I am fully in favor of, but I probably would not have listed as one of my main priorities, specifically there, unless I spoke to the people I was campaigning to, and that has helped me gain some vision, and I can't wait to see what the system brings about if it comes through.
Hmm.
All right, thank you.
Well, actually, like, as you know, actually, the census this time, actually, the census was that like after the district was actually actually divided, and so actually the vote, like a one seat that represent the vote behind one seat is actually quite unequal in this term, you know. Like for example, in Harlon North, we actually get like 10 or I think 11 kind of voters, while in Zealand or in Outer Island we only got 6 to 7 or 8. So actually, is like for most of the government or other government, is there any plan for like do you think that it requires some kind of redistribution, was like for some extent?
Uh, Definitely, that the act says explicitly that redistricting happens once each 6 months. And the districting itself that happened this time, at the time when we divided it, the populations were equal. But obviously that has since changed. More people respond to the census. It's just we didn't really have the time to react because otherwise we if we keep changing districts depending on census respondents, then we just would not get a definitive districts and campaigns up until the second to last day of the election, which would be slightly problematic towards the candidates. Because when we when we were speaking with the party leaders on introducing the system, there was actually a original map, which only had 5 districts and what we expected, and then it changed quite a bit, and we had to redistrict it, and we did do that, and we spoke with the Senate, we got that through, and that has been important, and I do believe that any redistricting needs to be done with consultation from all parties. Otherwise, that could what you call it? Otherwise, without the consultation, you don't know where will be more the most efficient to help represent the public. And in representing the public, you also need to make sure that regional identities are preserved and it's not just completely divided in what's the easiest way to get 555? Because otherwise, then you won't really have regional interests. Like, let's say you shove someone in Stamford Bay alongside someone in Tryon, then they don't really have that many correlating issues, but they're in that, but you can somehow figure out a way to get it done in half. So you do that, and that's not really reflective of what the people would, let's say, want. And we should always keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's a good point, I guess. So actually, like, I guess, but I would say that if the redistribution is like held like during the, I would say during the election would be better, but somehow the 6 months renewal, or at least probably a report on how it was running is actually a quite good idea, which I support actually. But that's actually, moreover, it's like, do you think that the electoral arrangement, like for example, the voting station setup, do you think they are too much or too less? Like, are they convenient to those voters? Do you think they are
Um,
like convenient or not?
well, in the official government recommendation to the Senate, there was 2 additional polling locations included. I believe both were in Outer Isles. I could be wrong though. But actually, wait. Okay, no, actually, there was 2 more. I think only one was another also. But either way, I do think that the amount of polling locations is fine at the moment. In the future, if Harlan's population grows, we are probably gonna need more though, especially in the case of people living, of people in like, let's say, uh, Beckton or Sunset Island having to go all the way to Cerulean Harbor to put in their ballot, that could be problematic. I know on the panel, I believe Maple, you live in Beckton, right?
Yes, yes.
All right, and yeah, you had to travel all the way to Blumea to cast your ballot, which as opposed to, let's say,
That's
just going
correct.
across the street and putting in the ballot. That uh, the, the ability to vote easily is always something that should be preserved. And whilst I do think at the moment transit exists that allows that, in areas like Sunset Island where there is a lack of transit, that could be useful in the future.
Yeah, actually, some more of our voters. So actually, I heard some citizens actually mentioning it, like Sealand actually, Sealand constituency actually got some islands. Like actually, they are mentioning that, oh no, we have to like swim across the stripes just to get a house. This is actually quite. I mean that actually the voting is having constituencies. I think that the infrastructure, especially in outer islands or in Sealand, which is away from the city center, have to be improved for further, for the safety or for the convenience of the people. But I still guess that this time, I guess, except during the election, I recall my memory is like during the start of the election, actually, some voters are not knowing where they should vote, and they are curious by walking to the wrong polling station. And I would say that the city center one actually got some warp size, so actually they can just go wherever they need or which voting station. But in other voting station, similar things was not being set up. So do you think that it is important, or at least somehow it would be a better choices if similar warp sign is set up in other polling stations?
I do think the ability to get to polling stations is obviously a priority. That was something very explicitly what's the word I'm looking for? Communicated to me by Senator Dirt 0066. And I agree that people need to be able to access the locations. And in the case of warp signs, I would say this is one of the limited occasions where warp signs are very much useful and should probably be used to ensure that everyone has their ability to vote, as is their right in the Constitution. If they're obviously a citizen. And in the case of Sealand, if someone doesn't want to use a warp sign, which I personally opted not to do, I understand it's difficult to get to the polling location, as an example, in Rabat. That's where I had to vote. It was a bit further away from Victoria, and I do think that we should probably get transport methods that include warp signs. But for people who don't want to use warp signs, we should also have that option, and that should be something we should look into.
I mean, yeah, also a pretty, like I would say, a reasonable argument. So actually, like for before we entering, I guess we are like about 10 minutes away from the polling deadline. At the polling station we close. Actually, there's a quite concerning question, especially since last year at a similar time when New Initiative actually win against HPP after I would say the HPP decline in their voter bases or at least cannot get a majority in the House of Commons by zone. Actually, do you think that the Haronian political landscape will change, especially following if the current electional electional electoral system implanted? Will the landscape of the Haronian politics will change radically, or at least walking away from a one-party dominant system that once led by HPP?
I don't think the electoral reform is going to have any impact in terms of seat share and what you call it, and in terms of how government is formed, mainly because is very explicitly enshrined in the act that uh, the result has got to be proportional to the amount of votes given nationally, which is the current system in place already. Therefore, the results should be similar. And the only real difference I could see happening is if, let's say, um, someone is asked to cross the floor because the party they're in is explicitly attacking programs in their riding. That's the only realistic scenario I would see a um, in which a change might happen. But even then, that's something that could happen in the current system as well.
Yeah, actually, like I think that Haronian is different from other political system, especially in those real life. Or actually, it's that actually our partisan affiliation isn't that strong. So actually, we'll just cross the floor to support something that that we think we have to support. For example, New Initiative, we've got MPs like. They got MPs like voting for something, despite other party members say no, he was voted for yes because he think that policy would work for him. And so I think that the partisan affiliation is not that important in our role. But still, I mean, like the one party dominant system, actually HPP able to gain the majority, especially if you look back to the past, actually Westry gets the so-called largest majority so far in Haronian history by one party. It's actually like something that HPP, I would say, cannot proceed, or every party inside Haronian cannot continue or at least replicate in some other things. Because I guess, for instance, actually, the current system, I should have said, is proportional. And we have analyzed this, and we have checked in the politics channel. Actually, is like the landscape in the current voting system is that the HPP is having a strong base voter, but it still requires them to break through those spaces or those centrist voter to reach those centrist voter to get a majority inside the house.
I would agree.
So, do you think that with the system being implanted, with the system being implanted just like in real life, actually, do you think that these kind of hung parliaments would actually occur even more strongly or even more often in the upcoming elections?
I do think that hung parliaments in a system with ridings would probably be more cooperative, based on the idea that people elected are gonna have mandates from their ridings and not from their parties. Therefore, they can vote more freely, or at least they should be able to vote more freely, um, as opposed to just blindly following party doctrine. Um, it should it should help in getting things done more efficiently and listening to the public. Um, and that is a change I hope to see. And aside from that, I hope the change is representative of population and such, etc. But yeah.
Yeah. Any opinion from other guests as well? As it's actually quite a interesting topic to see, like what we have discussed in last year, that the HPP dominance might end. It's actually like based with together with a new system. It's actually could happen in the upcoming, like for example, in the upcoming I would say events or actually upcoming election. So any other opinions from guests as well to discuss about this as well?
Um, I think I've said most of my opinions. For at least what I legally can say at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. We're trying to walk in the boundary, trying
yeah.
to make it legal, or else we'll all get prosecuted.
Ooh, Greystone jump scare. Dude.
All right. All right. Mako has sent a poll in politics, where people can estimate how many total votes there are in the election, and it starts with 60. So either Mako is being severely optimistic here, or I am severely underestimating the Hungarian electorate.
I will
I
say,
was
based on discussions I have had with a staff member, we're definitely going over the 50 mark. So I don't think it's that optimistic.
I mean that we will go through the 50 mark. This is, of course, at this census, and together with some, I would say, some voters who only vote for nationalists, it's actually getting over 50. And in my prediction, I would say that it would go over 60 for some reason. But it would just barely over 60. I don't think it would get like 70. For example, Macro have mentioned earlier, it would get like 70 or 80 something. I don't think so, because it's just a really like normal guess. Do we see 30 Caronians suddenly wake up and vote? We didn't. We did see some older voters, right, to come over and just vote for the nationalists. This is happening, but not as large as what Macro or other candidates have once measured. We don't get 30 new voters who just come out from nowhere. They didn't. So I would say the mark will lies between 50 to 60, but it would just it just hard to exceed, I would say, 65 or 66. The maximum for me is 65, I would say.
I might be a bit optimistic then. I'm putting it at least personally somewhere within the 70 to 79 range. I
Okay, 7
uh,
times and
uh,
kind of wild guess.
I think
and also and also considering the amount of mail-in votes in the housing server sense, I think it might be closer to 60 to 80 votes in total.
I would
I
like
would say
to
it's hard to do so.
quickly mention. Hold on, let me count the number. Because as it stands, there's at least 7 people registered inside of each riding. So 7 times 6 equals how many people? That's over 50 on its own.
Yeah, definitely over 50. The 50, if we get a point that's lower than 50, then it's kind of weird, since as Kawina, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Based South Canada from the and I don't know how to pronounce his name, but actually he have measured and have a statistic like these election actually had like over 2,000 messages. So it's actually the most active one in the past, I would say 1 to 2 years. So it's definitely overing or surpassing the 50 votes, especially in this election, we actually allowed the DM advertisement. So we were actually just approached to our voters individually to ask them to give their vote to us and give their trust to us. And so it's actually more like with, imagine you're a voter, you don't know which party to vote, and you saw 3 or 4 candidates sending their ads to you would at least make you feel interested. You think, oh, maybe I should get a look. So actually, that motivated Haronians for their politics, and I think that this kind of motivation haven't been seen, I would say, since 2024 or early 2025, which is a good sign for Haronian democracy. But if you were telling me that it's going to be 90, it's going to be 100, then I would say that it's a wild guess, but just
I would
I just
also
would think
agree. I don't
in
think
line
we're
with
going
Western
anywhere
one.
near 100 in terms of votes. That would be.
Yeah.
If we do get somewhere close to there, we cannot predict the results of the election at all because we have no idea where those votes are coming from and where they're going to, I would say.
I don't know. Maybe we'll just look like the 1992 BBC one, just got a totally wrong result. Actually,
Yeah.
we might do.
Yeah.
So
So
it's actually hard to predict, to predict. But I would say 50 to 60. I would agree with as well.
so all right, we have 1 minute until polls close. Well, less than a minute. So when polls close, I am gonna switch on the broadcast to our results coverage intro, if you guys don't mind.
Maybe I will stay for some time because I would just go through to system, go through to tasks.
All right.
Yeah, I would title myself as the Haronia Anthony Green, for some reason. I should title myself with that.
All right.
No, because I think it will be 100 when the result. But do you think that the results are coming like? Do you think it can become by tomorrow, for example, 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock? When do you think the result will become?
I think the results gonna be in.
All right, polls are officially closed.
Oh, polls are closed.
Oh, polls are closed.
All right.
Polls are closed, and we are having our analysis.
I'm gonna answer that.
I actually think that it will be closed at I think 2:01 because from past experiences, the closing of the polling station is typically delayed for 1 minute.
It's
Okay, yeah, fair
fine.
enough.
Yeah.
Might be delayed for 2 now because the regional polling locations opened a minute late. Oh, never mind.
All right.
Okay, so the city center polling station is
Polls
closed.
are closed,
All right.
and we'll get our analysis.
Yeah, and with polls closed, I think it's time we get ready for the proper real coverage. So for that, We're gonna go to a intro now. Give me a second.
And also, BTV will be leaving this simultaneous broadcast from now. Thank you for tuning in.
I am government that will lead future optimism and hope activity will serve as a community back residents and citizens into account during this time.
And the Harlon Progress Party have formed government, marked by a massive surprise with new initiative in favor.
7% throwing anti-Caucasian within
Announced the design of 2 train stations in the city.
Party the past a fresh election.
As a polls.
The shutdown is final votes on a budget for the 7th 50 days.
There's market to run again this time.
Another A2 candidate presidential election.
That the East Coast Main Line Monday.
This definitely capability of
Moonlight Express.
Clear in their
that the Oakmont Plaza Stock Exchange 3 weeks.
First phase released within a month.
Januki has been elected to the alliance as
Chris intern from the stock exchange.
Are now on Oak.
2 line routes were done. Some play a design and organize a train driving effect more realistic.
Our leader aren't going anywhere.
For Ka is now the
Here's a coming week.
When asked which new station would be invented on that basis.
Can you make people better economy, better education politics, who represent the local even or the capacity
Alright, there is a 50-50 chance that the stream is back now. I think it should be back. Hold on.
Probably gonna take a second.
Okay, well, I can hear the people in VC now. So, all right. Okay, I'm gonna deafen real quick and play the intro again because I think this time it should actually be fine.
Okay. I am incredibly happy the electorate and Parliament chose a government that will lead into the future with renewed optimism and the hope for increased activity. I will as a community and I will always put feedback for my fellow residents and citizens into this time.
Harlon Progress Party have formed government with new initiatives in favor.
Several NI members is suspecting Astro of overthrowing NI's consensus. They are conducting an investigation within the alliance.
NI faces a changed political landscape. The party's representation has fallen from 5 seats to 3.
Harlon National announced a competition for the design of 2 train stations west of Harlon City.
Harlon government was forced to shut down after the budget bill failed to pass the assembly vote.
Failure to pass the budget could ultimately trigger a fresh election.
As a possible snap election looms, the HVP appears to have rebounded slightly in the polls.
The shutdown is finally over as Parliament votes on a budget for the 7th time in 50 days.
With the next party leadership race expected in March, Kotowiz has told the Times that they intend to run again this time around.
And the Harlon Progress Party officially nominated Moonlighter 827 to be their candidate in the upcoming presidential election.
It is now confirmed that the East Coast Main Line will open this Sunday.
This definitely can enhance the popularity of Harlon.
Moonlighter has been elected president.
Januki has also told the Times that they're clear in their possible plans to run for the new initiative leadership before the next general election.
Earlier this month, the Ministry of Finance announced that the Oakmont Plaza Stock Exchange will be opening in the coming weeks.
Sources have informed WHN about the jobs plugin, which, its first phase, could release within a month.
Januki has been elected the 4th governor of the Alliance as the party seeks to recover from a damaging past couple of months.
Beatrice International announced that it will withdraw from the Oakmont Plaza Stock Market Exchange.
2 new companies are now on Oakmont Plaza.
The HVP remain on track for a historic supermajority with quite possibly their highest result ever.
2 line routes were introduced at the same time. Some players decided to take a step further and organize a train driving event to make the line more realistic.
Our leader Ocelot Tech Pole isn't going anywhere.
Kra 4K is now the party leader.
A series of Mafia game events planned in the upcoming weekend and to continue into the future.
Kreka, when asked, he explicitly questioned which news station would be running the air review and then declined the air review on that basis.
I believe that we can do better. Better to motivate people to join. Better to revitalize our economy. Better to give the people a voice in politics. Better to have people represented truly at the local and national level. And even those here in front of me are the people that have the best capacities and that are the most talented in order to make Harlon go forward.
Hello and welcome back to WBC's election coverage. Sorry for technical difficulties. Joining with me right now is Mipser52, Yoshipai, and DC. Hello.
Hello.
Alright, so, early results are gonna start coming in, and if you actually look below, you can see where the results are gonna come in. We have a live bar, which isn't saying anything at the moment because, as far as I'm aware, we have no results. Let me check our data analyst team. Here. Yep, no, seemingly we have no results right now. So when the results start coming in, you will be some of the first people to know in the country, because we are trying to do our best in giving stuff live. So, yeah. So, what do we think the results are going to look like now? And we can legally speak about party policy now and how it's good. So, but yeah.
Well, I mean, as the prime minister, an outgoing one, sure, but still, as the prime minister, and as an MP for 5 years now, I am pretty biased. I'm hoping for an HPP majority. I'm pretty sure there's going to be an HPP majority due to months of opinion polls saying that there will be an HPP majority. So, yeah, I'm quite hopeful that.
I am hopeful for HPP majority, but I would not be too surprised by plurality. I do think that the numbers have narrowed since the last poll, and depending on how far they narrowed, it could lead to a plurality situation, or it could lead to a very slim HPP majority. But I do not think we are going to see the numbers that we saw in the polls from a couple of weeks ago. Maple DCU.
Yeah, what's up?
What do you think the results are going to
be? Hard to say. But
okay,
I do agree with what you said about the 60% earlier.
Right, we are getting our first numbers in, I believe. The constitutional referendum is currently passing by a large margin. However, we should entirely keep in mind that these are early numbers. We cannot count on them. And I believe that means, hold on. If we look at the... So, okay, seemingly those... We're only getting the referendum results at the moment. The only early referendum results, which are currently both over 70 points in favor. So that is good for the in favor referendum camp right now. Agree? It's an incredibly good early showing for those in favor of constituencies. And for those in favor of constitutional amendment, of the constitutional amendment procedure, in mind for is that the constitutional amendment is currently ahead, which is not that big of a surprise. It only required 50% to pass for a reason. Meanwhile, the constituency vote is at 77.8%, which is 80% of the vote. We don't know what polling location this is coming from at the moment. But depending on where it is coming from, it could be interesting.
You see.
Okay, in terms of the House composition, we currently have 0 numbers. So we have no idea who's leading, who's elected. But let's talk about some of the districts we think is going to go which way. I'm hoping this is not that big of a controversial take on the panel. But I do think that Outer Isles is a safe HPP lock. Do any of you disagree with that?
No.
I don't.
All right. Afterwards, if we move on just a bit east, we have Sealand, which, whilst I think is going to swing HPP, if it doesn't swing HPP, that's going to show a really, really bad night for them tonight. Because that's more than likely going to be a bellwether as to whether this election is going to go in favor how the HPP thinks it's going to go, as compared to if it's going to go in favor of, let's say, Barr. And same thing can be said. Somewhere like Celia Harlan North is also going to be reflective of how much does NI get their vote share out there. Because if that riding swings NI, which I think it's a swing riding, if it goes for NI, then it means NI is going to have a good night tonight, and they might even get second place. If it doesn't swing NI, NI is going to have a very bad night tonight.
Okay.
So
we're on the edge of our seats here.
We are, in fact,
Essentially
on
what
the edge
you're
of our
describing.
seats.
So the votes are coming out one by one.
Yes. The votes aren't coming out one by one. They're coming out by polling location, and as it stands, polling shows that whatchamacallit, I wouldn't be too surprised if the numbers we're seeing right now are the advanced polls, because that would that would make the most sense in my opinion, because it would mean that it's why we don't have the district results yet, because we're going to get those when we get them. Interestingly, they aren't published alongside the at-large results, but as it stands, we're going to need to see where that goes. But yeah. But yeah. Overall, the results today are going to be very interesting. It's going to shape up politics for the next 6 months, more than likely. So let's keep our eye on the numbers. And if the numbers shift, then they change. But yes, at the moment we have 0 numbers aside from the early referendum numbers. Oh, wait. Okay, we have more numbers for the referendum. The vote share is over doubled. Both the electoral districts implementation referendum is slightly lower now, but it's still basically at level. The constitutional amendment referendum is also at level as to before. Both are at 80 and 76% each. These are very good numbers for an early showing, especially considering that I would say I am willing to project that the constitutional amendment procedure referendum is going to pass, because there is 17 votes in at the moment, and we are waiting on, let's say, 40 more. I don't see a path to victory for there's going to be another 10, maybe 20 votes for that referendum. I don't see a way in which it doesn't pass. Would the rest of the panel agree?
Makes sense to me.
I am going. Yeah, it makes sense. It makes complete sense.
All right. Okay, so that is our first official projection of the night. Which is very interesting. But yeah. Hold on. Okay, let me. Okay.
Now, I am hoping that Holland North goes to the HPP, because if it goes to either NI or Bar, the polling location is only about 150 blocks away from Diorite House, so that's going to be a very short walk.
Yeah.
If and given that the two district candidates and given that the two district candidates for NI and Bar respectively are Yannicki and Cracker, I'm gonna that's a certainly will be a good win for them if they win that.
Yeah. I would agree. Somewhere like Harlan North, silly Harlan North is gonna be a amazing indicator on how the night's gonna go, and if Bar takes that district, then there's a very real chance that they're in the Diary House by the end of the night. And if they don't take that district, then we don't really know. But if NI takes that district, then there's a very real and good chance that we're going to have a minority government tonight. Or, well, not a minority, a coalition government. But, yeah. Okay, at the
All right,
moment...
we have our first. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
We have our first spoiled ballot, which is a neat bit of info. It's coming from Holland Southeast. It's an empty signed ballot, which counts as a spoiled vote. But I feel like that's a pretty still a pretty important update. That there is, the election is actually being counted.
Yes. Now, I do think that the fact we're 17 votes in, and there's only one invalid ballot in a new electoral system, those are incredibly good numbers. Do you guys agree?
Definitely. I completely agree with that. That is those are incredible numbers.
Oh, we're at 27 votes, and the referendums are, I believe, still passing. Let me check. Hold on. Yes, they are, and still same margins as before. We're not gonna make a call on the second referendum, because as it stands, or at least not yet, because as it stands for that referendum, it needs 66% of the vote, and we only have roughly, I would say, around 50, maybe 40% of the vote in at the moment. And depending how the rest of that vote goes, it could either kill or get that referendum through. These are very good early results for the referendum, though. We have already projected, though, that the constitutional amendment procedure referendum has passed. Constitutional amendments will now only take a 2/3 majority in both the House and Senate to pass, unless if it passes by a simple majority, in which case it will go to a referendum in the public. Very large changes coming to the country, seemingly. But we still have 0 results from the House, which is very unfortunate. We have, but yeah, we only have 1 spoil ballot at the moment, and that is in Harlan Southeast. Aside from that, we are 27 votes in on the referendums, 0 results for the House. All right. Maple, what is your take on all of this? How do you think that this night will shape up?
Mm-hmm. Well, obviously, it could go either way.
Least ambiguous answer ever.
Better. Okay, HVP seems to be doing better.
Well, we don't have any. Well, HVP has been doing better in the polls. We don't have any actual results from this election yet, though, in terms of the House.
Okay.
Although I will say, the fact that Barr spoke out against the electoral district's implementation referendum, and it's passing by that margin right now, could be particularly bad for the Barr vote. Because that could be an indicator that Barr is performing lower than expected. And if that is the case, that could be very problematic in winning other districts. But keep in mind, obviously, these are early results. We do not know if they're going to pan out and if they're going to show a passage or not. We are not making any projection on the second referendum at the moment. Oh, we have more votes in, and the lead has grown. It is now 37 votes in and 78% in favor of the electoral districts implementation referendum. Although I don't think we should make a projection yet, these are increasingly difficult numbers to beat. There's essentially every single vote now is going to need to go against the referendum if they want that to fail, which is possible. Let's keep that in mind, is very much possible, but unlikely. And as it stands, we still have 0 votes from the House. So we don't know where that's going yet, but the referendums are looking very interesting tonight.
I will comment that if the electoral district referendum is doing that well, that means that there is a very high chance of Bar having a really bad night tonight, and that means that probably with the election of Yannicki as leader of NI, it has rebounded its vote quite a bit. I am saying that because because their election happened after any opinion poll, after every single opinion poll that happened last parliamentary term. So there might be a chance that NI is gonna have double-digit percentage results tonight, and Bar is gonna do quite poorly.
Something we should keep in mind, though, is that as of recent, the NI vote and the Bar vote have both been coming seemingly from the HPP rather than from each other, which I personally would note as rather interesting that the polls have noted that. But we need to see if that's going to pan out or if it's just an anti-HPP vote, and if that swings. If it is an anti-HPP vote, then there's a very, very, very real chance that NI still places second tonight. If it's not an anti-HPP vote, then then NI has a decent chance of performing well, but we don't know how well they're going to perform. I do completely agree, though, that these numbers, if they keep going like this for the second constitutional referendum, which will implement the districts, it's a very bad start of the night for Bar. That could be a very bad looking bellwether for them. We are still at 37 votes for each, and only one split ballot in Harlon Southeast. All right. All right. Something I do think is rather interesting is that if we get to see the referendum pass, then that means that we have electoral districts and those come into play, and we have to look at the district results.
All right, update. We have an update. So there are 48 votes counted, so definitely we're past the point of majority. And the first constitutional amendment is at 91.7% for, and the electoral districts amendment is at 77.1% for. So I think it's safe to call both referendums as they've passed.
I would say it's also safe to call at this point. I would call the second referendum, unless 20 votes come out of the blue all against the referendum. I don't see that being realistic. Let's be honest, that's not happening. So we're gonna
Yeah.
call it second referendum.
Yeah.
All right.
There are also 2 spoil votes from Celia Hall North. Both are both are referendum based. In the and both are signed. So, and as Muffin has announced in chat, he has said that the votes for Celia Holland North have been counted. So I am assuming that there will be results shortly.
Yes. That would be our first house results, which could be a great indicator of what's gonna happen tonight.
It's actually quite. Is it my problem or it's
Oh, hey,
actually quite
DC.
silent here? Oh.
Right. Yeah.
Are the 2 broadcasts merging?
I guess we have to, because actually a BTV is going to, it's 2 o'clock in the like midnight. So actually they are closing,
okay.
and they're still live. So I would just make my call here, but I would just make it based on HKBTV. But I still join discussion. It's good for me to use English finally.
Yeah.
So it's actually like.
Interestingly though, the fact that we have 2 spoiled ballots in Celia Harlon North, that could be an indicator at a either weaker bar or an I vote, depending on which route that goes. Because I would say a lot of the HPP vote has been existing. It's not really new players. They know how the system works. They know how to do the ballots. There's a far likelier chance that the bar voters or NI voters are the ones with small ballots. And if that happens in a bellwether riding like Celia Harlan North, that could be devastating if they lose that riding. Would you
I
agree?
would say that for the new voting system, I think that the centrist voter, aka the independent voter or the non-affiliated voter, will also make that mistake. So I think that as we have mentioned earlier in the election part, we actually have mentioned that referendum are overlooked by most of the parties, and we didn't put our actually most, I would say, the concentration on it. We didn't promote it at all. So the current 2 ballots actually are only like spoiled because they did not fill out the referendum part. And so based on that, I think it could be either parties, and we cannot make our judgment based on like which one knows their votes better. As I guess that at least 3 parties have given their party member and the supporter enough instruction on how to vote the ballot, especially the new initiative with a image. So I think that is too early for us to judge whether which one is these votes come from which candidate or which party supporter.
That's fair. But yeah, for those only now tuning in, WBC has projected that both referendums have passed, and the constitutional amendment procedure referendum has passed with a very wide margin. They safely passed the line. It's unclear how far the electoral districts implementation referendum is going to pass at the moment, but we do believe it has passed. We don't really see a realistic path to it failing at the moment.
Nish, do you mind if I do it in like to repeat the BTV call on that as well? Do you mind?
Sure, go ahead.
If I do that. So the BTV has also called earlier today that we'll call the 2 referendum to be passed, and we have noticed that one of the referendum, the first referendum, we related to the constitutional amendment procedure, will be passed by an over 85% of the vote supporting it. So for the information, we still need to wait for the counts. Oh, I'm left because I AFK for 30 minutes. That's so bad. I should do something.
Yes. We are still at 48 votes for each referendum. So we're if how the results have been coming in stay the same, then we at the same pace, then we should see some more results soon, hopefully. And hopefully that can give us a clearer picture as to where we think the results are going to go. I do think that if more than likely one of the next two batches are where we're going to see what the turnout is for the election. And depending on how much turnout we have, that could be an indicator as to, and where that turnout is, that could be an indicator as to who's going to the Dire House. But at the moment, we have no idea where, we have no idea how, we just know there's a very decent turnout at the moment. And something to keep in mind is that of the referendum results only, we have already beat the last election. That election.
The newest election have just came, and
right.
the constitutional amendment referendum is now sitting at a 86.8 citizens will vote for yes, we mean it will be passed as all constituencies have been counted.
Yep.
While the electoral district implementation referendum will pass by 69.1% of the vote, which is just barely matched the region and actually matched with what BTV as earlier mentioned.
Yeah, just barely over the line, which is why we waited so long to call it. And I will say, based on this, we can probably okay. Of the votes so far on the referendums only, I'm fairly certain that beats the Harlonian record of votes. That we have beat the previous record for votes in a singular election.
Yeah.
We have record.
Which is very
by
nice.
Quite margin.
Yeah, by
we
a
have
margin.
we have either beaten it or just barely under the record as of now.
At least for the last two elections, I think we have broken it.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least for the last two elections, we've definitely broken it.
And secondly, there are two spoil votes in the city center, which eventually having the same thing as the two ballot in the Harvard North was invalidated due to is that they did not fill out their referendum, which totally there will be 5 votes being spoiled for now, and we are still looking for how many votes will be were spoiled. But currently, the two both company WBC and HKBTV have called that the two referendum will pass, as they have passed. And now we turn to the districts and at-large counting.
Yes. Now we are moving on to the fun house count, which means that if you look down, you can see funny graphics. Unless if you're directly next to me, in which case you can't see the graphics because you're not watching the stream. But below are some fun graphics, and when the results start coming in, they're gonna move. So.
Hey, can I speak? It's very quick. I'm the Golden Portal.
Go ahead.
I just have a quick look on the previous two election results. The previous one, we got 43 voters, and the one in April 2025, we got 72. But remember, 37 of those 72 votes were spoiled. So this would be one of the highest results that we ever get in election history.
This has surpassed the amount for valid votes, but the fact that we're already we're close to spoiled votes is insane.
Actually, we actually have surpassed the total vote. As actually counting 5 to 8, we actually got 73 ballots today. So actually, it surpassed the old record by 1.
Which is wild, considering one of those elections had like 30 spoiled votes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So the participation of people is quite high this time.
Yeah, the turnout is very large, which it'll give an indicator as to who benefits more from high turnout elections in the future. But we need to see the results to know who's gonna benefit from the turnout. But these are very good results. I do think something rather interesting is that if the HPP wins the majority...
Niche, I'm gonna stop you there. We have 2 more spoil votes from Sealand.
Oh.
These are unsigned votes, and they can, and we can actually see the ballot contents for them.
They did not sign the
That
ballot.
being, an unsigned ballot. That being the, one being an at-large vote for Bar, and a district vote that puts you in first place and Astrocraft in second place, and a voted against both referendums. The second vote being an at-large HPP vote, and for the district vote, they put you. It's the same as the previous ballot, that being you in first, Astro in second. And as for referendums, they voted against the constitutional amendment procedure referendum, but they voted for districts.
I will say, that is those are 2 interesting ballots, because one of them would indicate they're a Bar voter, as I don't really think that, Bar at large, I would say, because, or NI at large, because I don't particularly think that someone who's voting like HPP down ballot, up ballot, is going to vote vote against the referendums. I could be wrong. Feel free to correct me. But I don't think that would be the case.
Just like the last judgment I did, I would say it's a independent or those non-affiliated voters who was attracted by the voting result, by the voting impression of the candidates, but I did not have the particular party affiliation. So it could be, just like I mentioned in the BTV earlier, it could be that the party members or party supporters always have different opinions to their party branches. As you know, we cannot control their voting behavior. But still, I would say that it is quite a important thing that we did not find about. It's a important and it's quite a serious one. That the spoil vote was not because they picked the wrong one, but because they actually didn't sign it. It's quite sad thing, I would say.
Yes. Depending on the results for the district, these could have been crucial votes that could decide it, but we're going to see when the results come in. And if they are crucial votes, then I'm going to be mad. But
Come on. It's important. It's okay to be mad, but don't just walk out and close the stream.
Yeah.
Just don't close the stream.
You should. You should.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
The stream is going down if that happens, unfortunately.
Even when Polyev lost, he didn't get mad.
Yeah, because they put him in an easy riding.
Yes.
And he lose it.
No, but they put him in another riding after the by-election.
Yeah,
I love Battle River Crowfoot.
It actually harmed there. It actually harm. In Wesley, we got a new spoil vote, which put HPP at large and Body Hubbertins as the only rented candidate. While in the constitutional amendment procedure, they vote for yes, while in the electoral district implementation, they vote for no.
Yeah.
This is a invalid ballot.
We also have one in Harlon Southeast where they put Scipio rank 1.
One more, sorry. And they are at large, while both they agree with at the present agreeing with both referendums.
Yes. So at the moment we have a couple of invalid ballots, which it's unclear at the moment if this is going to be more per capita than historically, but
we got one interesting one. Someone put an ox sign in the Syria North one, and the justification says it's an ox sign. Good one.
Great.
Good one.
Thank you, electoral officers. We need that humor.
Anyway, the city center got 2 votes of ballot ballot. One of them go as BAR, which is district. They vote on macro as rank 1, national as rank 2, and coast regional rank 3. While the referendums, they vote both for yes. And in NI, there's a vote voting for Code as rank 1, macro at rank 2, and national as rank 3, while they agree with both referendums.
I do think it is rather interesting at the moment that at the moment of the at-large votes, it's currently so of the spoiled votes, it aligns neatly with how we think the results are going. Or it's going to be either a narrow HBP majority or a HBP plurality where Barr is coming in second place. Because if we look at the poll ballots, it either A, indicates that Barr's going to have a really, really bad night, or B, it indicates that Barr has narrowed it quite significantly with the HVP, and per capita they have as many invalid ballots as the HVP because they have as many votes as the HVP. But we're going to see where that goes. Obviously, we can't say everything because we have no valid votes yet for the districts, which we are waiting on. And when we get them, we are going to you're going to be the first to hear about them.
We did got a currently a fun fact that the only one didn't get they didn't get a unsigned I would say spoiled ballot is the ultimate, which they know how to vote properly. They know how to vote, so they might teach other constituency on how to vote. They have to.
Yeah, I will say the fact there are 0 invalid ballots in outer aisles at the moment is great news for the HVP candidate there, because that is a safe HVP riding. If there are a number of invalid ballots, that could be problematic for the HVP candidate there. However, the fact that it is going seemingly smoothly, that could be a great indicator for a wide margin of victory. Let's see. Any more spell ballots? No.
Am I able to comment, Mr. Niche?
Sure, go ahead.
I'm very. I was messaging you. I don't know if you saw my message.
Nope.
Look, I think that the referendum is actually the thing that people should be looking at here, aside from the spoiled ballots, because we had in this election 3 parties, and originally all 3 parties said to support the electoral district referendum, and then just before the election, Barr changed their stance, and they
Yes.
told everyone to vote no. And so, if all 3 parties are saying that, if 2 parties are saying yes to the referendum and Barr is saying no, and 30% of people voted no, then that might be an indication that about 30% of people voted for Barr, potentially.
Yeah.
So I am saying it would be a good showing.
Yeah, it would be a good showing for Barr, but it would be short of what is likely needed of a plurality unless some Barr voters chose to vote for the referendum, which means that Barr might be closer to around the 40% mark, which could be devastating for NI if HVP still is, up there. And if HVP isn't up there, then that's not as devastating for NI. And we could have a very interesting parliament this thing. But
I would say that this is compared to I would say this match with the one I have predicted earlier in the BTB live, which I have said that the FKK due the BAL due to party structure is actually kind of a loose structure, which allow voters to vote on their own. And so during that, I would agree. That what Westry have earlier have said that the 30% to 3% BAL. I could think that there are still places of voter rating, especially when the BL make their final U-turn during the election. I would say that similar U-turn might happen even on their voters as well.
Yeah, I do think it is rather interesting that and I say this from an objective point of view. Barr has consistently changed their positions throughout the term, and it's unclear if they're gonna do something similar if they were to get into government, or well, more accurately, lead government. They're currently in government. They don't have any portfolios technically, but if they were to lead a government, it's unclear what positions they've campaigned on would stay. And to that end, we have no idea what to expect from our government. So whatever happens. Drug. But
yeah. Don't swear, bro. So actually, like earlier, Niche have mentioned that actually earlier the BR have actually changed their position for quite a lot. For example, when they support the ranked choice voting and now they're against it. So it's actually like, wow, you know, things will go interesting, I would say. But currently there's no spoil vote, meaning people are voting quite regularly, I would say. So it depends on us on how the vote will go on.
Mm.
And I guess it will be soon, the result, as soon as the counting was kind of faster than I've expected in early, I would say in early production, which I would take 3 to 4 hours. I would think that it could take like 1 to 2 hours before it was complete.
Yeah.
But it's still a long time for me. It will be all clock for me.
Yeah, I would say these results are growing faster than I expected as well. I would realistically, like at a absolute maximum, I would say these results are probably going to be fully out within 2 hours. But we're on the edge of our seats. And it's very interesting. I'll say. But yeah. Currently have no new numbers. Still waiting for the district votes.
Yeah, it's actually quite interesting that there are no district at-large results an hour after polls closed.
Yes.
But I guess there might be just a slightly a much larger influx of votes from 5 different polling stations.
Yeah.
So
my
so it
assumption
might
is that
just take a bit more
presumably
time
they might be focusing on the referendum at the moment, and then they're doing it at large. But it should be fairly simple to do at large at the same time. So I don't know, but it is interesting.
Wait.
But
It's look like they are just examining the whole thing as a whole, and so I would say that it takes them some time to like maybe just updating the things back to the website. We can just wait muffin for or other electoral officer to like telling us which district have been counted, and it will shortly be updated to the website.
Yeah. Generally, I would say that this has been the most interesting election I've been a part of. Would the rest of the panel agree?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean,
yeah, the spoil vote is actually quite low compared to the last election or the last 2 elections. So we can still expect quite a tight race, especially, back to the census, actually, by looking at the city center, actually one vote could cause the HPP or the BAR to lose its vote. So it's actually come across quite a fun run, especially when the one rank BR candidates and one rank HPP voters. So it would depend on the other ballots to show whether our future prime minister, currently the possible future prime ministerial candidate, can win his seat.
By the way, I just realized I completely forgot to say the results of the WBC exit poll. That we count.
Got the exit poll, bro.
All right, so essentially what we do is we count the number of people who we think log in how they voted, etc. Anyways, the exit poll we got was hold on, let me grab the number. The exit poll we got was 52% HVP, and then 20% NI, and 27% bar. Now, I would say these numbers are way, the percentage amount is way too close as to get a definitive result. So, do not, these exit poll numbers are close. Do not take them as gospel. But at the moment, they show a narrow HPP majority.
I would say that the current voting polling is actually showing that the main point or main warfare did not happen in the district, and the district have quite clear decision. Although the spoil vote is actually caused some differences or some warfare, but it's not as heated as the national list. And due to the current system we are using, which means that the seats you get in the national list is actually depends on how many seats you win in the district. So as NI, as we have predicted the BTV and CNN broadcast has actually done an analysis, which conducted by me. I should call myself an green for some reason. So the actual thing is that we have counted and we have measured that it is possibility for NI to mainly gain their vote from the district and could gain nothing in the national list, which could help NI in a quite big margin. But still, we have to wait for the result to come in. And I think that the HPP and BAL might get their most of their vote from the nationalist vote, which the NI is quite clearly league on. And yes, we got no spoiled ballot currently, which is a good thing, I would say, because every vote is matter today. Every vote is matter at this moment, especially in those heated races such as city center or other places. They are so close, and every vote matter to them.
I will say it is quite funny that the one district that isn't close is the one district we have 0 spoilt ballots in, which is very fun. But
Wesley, you've done a good job. You've done a good job on telling people not to give the spoiled vote.
Yeah.
You give the good job and Nathalin and the other boss candidate. They have I don't know how to pronounce his name, but they did a good job of protecting the votes.
Krika and Nexel, I believe, are the other 2 candidates in that district. Realistically, I see Bar getting a maximum of maybe 2 votes in that district. So I would say that district is safely HPP, and the fact that there are no invalid ballots means that.
So actually, when we've done the analysis, it is technically the only safe seat in Harrow. As actually, it's a lead. It's the voter structure actually showed a leading HPP with 6 HPP voters. So it's actually the only seat that is safe for HPP. So HPP can at least, you can call that, we at least got 1 seat for some reason. Except we got something like Polyafet did, which I don't think will happen.
Yeah.
And
whatever happens tonight, if Outer Isles doesn't go HPP, we have no idea what's happening tonight. That's the main thing.
No, they just do it on a random draw. It's if that then goes.
Yeah.
And that my analysis also showed that the Harlon North is actually a lean NI vote, but it would depend on how those independent voters vote. If those independent voters choose HPP or BAL instead of NI candidate, then NI candidate could result in a quite heated race. It's actually a lean new initiative seat. And for Harrow Southeast, aka the one I'm sitting in and I know I'm losing, is actually a lean BAL. So my projection to that is that it will be HPP vs BAL races, and it will depend on how NI voters will allocate their votes to the 2 candidates.
Yeah, I would agree that Harlan Southeast is going to be a close race between Bar and the HPP. I would say I would put it more in the Bar camp, but depending on how the NI vote shows up, there's a very strong chance it could swing HPP. And same within Celia Harlan North.
4-3.
Huh?
It's actually like the photo structure actually show 1 HPP, 2 NI, 4 BAL, and 3 non-affiliated. So it's actually still a seat that able to be flipped by those NI or non-affiliated vote. And all the 3 seats are kind of toss-up, between 2 parties. For example, in Westland, we got a toss-up between the Westland, between the BAL and the NI, while on the other hand is that the the city center is actually a toss-up between HPP and BAL, and since NI didn't put any candidates forward, so it could well resulted on a races between them, and especially when you saw 2 spoiled ballots, it could really matters on how the only 1 non-affiliated members vote on that district, and that could be the deciding vote. And finally, in Sealand, actually, when Bar didn't put up their candidates, it's actually a toss-up between HPP and NI. So it will also very depending on the only long-affiliated votes.
Yeah, I do think Sealand is going to be really interesting because it's the only district where we only have 2 candidates. So we can very clearly see how much of the public favors the HPP candidate or the Sealand specific candidate. And I think if it comes down to the strengths of the candidate, then the HPP is going to win. If it comes down to party, then there's a very decent chance NI is going to win. Because the candidate inside of Sealand, Astercraft, he doesn't actually live in Sealand. Which means if Sealand swings NI, then it indicates that people are voting far more along party lines at the district level. If it swings HPP, then it could indicate that they're voting more along candidate lines and who they think is stronger for their riding. And as it stands, we still have 0 district results, so that is fun.
But according to Golden Portal, actually, they will soon announce the results, so we might come with a surprise on how the result will go on. I'm actually quite interesting, especially on those heated regions, and knowing if I'm going to be the 3rd place or 2nd place, it is really good to know. So I can sleep good, I can sleep a good, better sleep today.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Is there a chance I could speak up on the news?
Sure.
I think, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. As it stands, for those only now joining us, WBC has projected that both referendums have passed. We currently have 0 results for the district, or for the at-large vote.
The result have come. The result have come.
Okay, well,
in a large representative, Coatwiz have win a seat together with NicheGuy, while all the remaining 4 seats have gone to BAL, meaning that it could result in a BAL plurality if the HPP cannot make gains on other districts.
Yes. Okay, hold on. This is yeah. Okay, so we are calling Westland now. Westland has went for the HPP, which immediately we have called that district, which should not be that big of a surprise. Bar is outperforming the popular vote right now, though, which is really interesting because obviously these are early numbers get McKay certain calls at the moment, but if they keep this up, we have an electoral upset in Harlonian history literally never seen before. But obviously,
West Street hold its safe seat, because if we flip it, then it will be another popular moment.
Yes,
it will be another popular moment. So, and Coatwiz has secured his seat, meaning that he will enter the parliament as a national representative.
Yes.
While NicheGuy, Garak, Real Alex, Doomcat, and Macro will enter through the list, meaning that if the bar can win 4 seats in the region, meaning that it could be a overwhelming majority for the things. While on the outer island, there are 3 spoil ballots. One of them mark the district, but actually they are not. He is not on the voter roll. While the other 2 ballots was invalidated due to they didn't vote for the district vote, and so it will not count on the district vote, and they are not on the voter roll as well. Anyway, congratulations.
Congrats, West. You are duly elected the assembly member from Outer Isles, literal safest district in the country.
and he's the first, he is the first electoral constituency MPs in Rhode.
Yes, you are the first ever elected riding MP in Harlonian history. So
thank you.
Congratulations.
And I just if I could say, I think that's it's very telling that the people of Outer Isles have made a very clear choice in this election, and I plan to fulfill the mandate that was promised of them. And I also want to mention, I think Ocelot was saying earlier he'd love to give his perspective on the election. I don't know if you can add him as a panelist.
He should be on in the BC, no?
Yeah.
Hold on. All right. Os, what would you say some of your opinions are on the results so far?
For the results, pretty shocking, if I have to be honest. I did not expect such a result. I would say that for the majority voting, I probably was guessing for one NI district for at large, and then I was guessing more for HPP, at least 2 or 3. This is pretty shocking to me for right now. And also, I would like to also congratulate Westray on winning Outer Islands.
Right. And I'm gonna update some of our elements quickly.
Oh, anyway, the at-large representative was actually a rolling update, so it could occur that the final list was not look like that. But currently, according to the vote, it's actually interesting that in Outer Island, which we once considered as a kind of, I would say, a strong HPP hold, was actually voting at large to BAR more than HPP. Well, and I got nothing on it. So it's actually quite interesting for us.
Well, we don't actually know if the Outer Isle vote was well, oh wait, hold on. Well, alright. We don't know if the Outer Isle vote was the one we are looking at for at large. If that's the case, though, that's incredibly interesting and incredibly odd. But
and I would say that probably some as earlier that in the spoiler vote I've mentioned that 2 of the votes are actually not they are actually not voters from Outer Island, as they did not as they did not do the census. So they are mostly voting on the national list. So it could be coming that the BAR and HPP are having a close race in at-large voting and Sealand. But still, it is an impressive result that it did give the Outer Island, the safest district in ever in Harlon history to Westray, aka the HPP candidate.
Yes. And if we actually, if we look at the stream, you can see the bar. It's filled. We have numbers now. Stuff is happening. But
it's actually good. It's actually good. But BR, I thought you would use brown instead of orange. I thought you would use brown. But everyone is on the panel, But everyone is on the panel.
Yeah.
Everyone is rushing to the
everyone
panel.
is here.
It's good actually, we got something like that. So I guess the next one, the next result, actually you can see it from spoil ballot, but currently we didn't see any update on the spoil ballot. So it could result that the current haven't counted the second district, I would say.
I will say, the fact that we do have spoil ballots from Outer Isles now, would indicate that they just didn't count Outer Isles before. But it would also indicate that Outer Isles is they're more than likely done counting it. I don't really see a reason why they would have more to count there. But but the fact that we have 2 Outer Isles votes who didn't vote district would imply that they were on the registry, which means the non-registered voters may be swinging bars way, and that could be interesting.
So it's actually I would say that in district level, we can actually confirm that the Outer Islands is actually a strong HPP hold. But in a large vote, it's still a swing one that could result quite matter in the general election.
Yes. Depending on where the next results come from, this could be an indicator on if the HPP should be worried about tonight, or if they should have a sigh of relief on that Outer Isles is a outlier because the people in Lumea apparently really like bar.
We cannot say that. We've got bar audience here. We have to be neutral, for some reason. But actually, I would say that I would say that the current result did show that Bar and HPP could be the leading forces inside the parliament, while the NI is on kinda, I would say, some kind of dangerous. So NI have to pack themselves if they did not win any more seats in the upcoming, I would say, 2 to 3 districts.
Yeah, at the fact that NI is at 0 votes in Cerulean Harbor, despite the fact that there are multiple non-registered voters there, should be very worrying for them. But obviously,
Yeah,
early
I would
results.
say it is. Although
there's
although Outer Island, actually, it is a district with no NI voters, though it is expected that NI got nothing in that district. But if in other district they got something that lower than what they have mentioned or they have count on, then it could be another dangerous result for them in the upcoming, I would say, upcoming existence in the parliament.
I would like to just quickly say, West, I know you tried to speak up like 3 times.
Oh, I just wanted
Sorry
to
for
say,
that. Sorry for that.
no worries. I just wanted to say, as the candidate for Outer Isles, I think the very interesting result here as well is that even though, you know, we've seen in this election, Barr has been attacking the HPP, we can clearly see here that there are Barr voters that do not want Barr to be continuing down this path of, you know, negative campaigning, because we see here there's at least one voter who voted Barr nationally and then ranked me as their first choice.
Yes.
So I think this is a very interesting signal here to say that, you know, people might have supported Barr, but they're also signaling to party leadership, hey, maybe tone down the aggressive rhetoric.
I do think that that may have a that may occur largely across the country, which could be very interesting on how these results play out if a lot of people vote for let's say Par at large and then the HBP candidate or NI candidate inside of the district, because it could also indicate that the HBP or NI has stronger candidates than Bar, which could be somewhat worrying for Bar if they want to form a government and they want competent ministers. But yeah.
Also, we actually know that this electoral system actually did put those on seats quite proportionally. So it could result that if the bar cannot touch the 50% line or at least near it, then it could result that there are lack of 1 seat or 2 seats from the majority, and they have to find coalition partners. Based on that effect, if the HPP got a much more presence inside the parliament, it could block the bar despite winning more votes if the scenario happened, and it could block them from forming the government, as the negative campaigning towards HPP was actually quite serious compared to other candidates. I was described, as I've earlier mentioned in Niche's in the earlier WBC program HKP TV show. Actually, I've said that the negative campaigning this year is quite low, but the only incident that we will remember is actually the conflicts between HPP and BAL for some members of them. So it's actually a quite negative point when if the party is trying to form I would say, the government.
Yes, I do think it could prove very interesting if we need to use the true proportional clause, and if a riding is deprived of their representative, because that could prove that Bar needs stronger candidates, they need a stronger message, and that something could be going wrong for them. But obviously, I take a shot every time I say this. Early results. We can't know everything.
I wouldn't say that the BAL got strong candidates. As Macro or the current party leader, Karak, I'm sorry if I pronounced his name wrong. So, Karika. So actually, they are all strong candidates. I believe that all 3 parties got strong candidates, but it's the point on how they present themselves to the voters. They would present them with a negative image or a more positive image. That's the point how voters would vote on. I believe that all parties got strong candidates. Is on the matter on how they should form it, or on the point how they should warp it up as a good candidate, as a trustworthy candidate for the approaches, especially though without any non-affiliated members.
I would say that's fair. Yeah. For those only now tuning into the broadcast, welcome to WBC's election broadcast, April 2026, Harlon elects. We have already called both referendums. We believe they have passed, and we are looking in at the results at the moment for the district outer isles, and also how that has reflected at large. And as it stands, currently Bar is in the lead, which is very good early results for them, but we don't know if that's going to stick, and we don't know if it's an outlier. But yes. If it is
Yeah,
not
we
an
should
outlier,
continue looking.
electoral upset. If it is an outlier, then we still are on track for a at least HBP plurality. Maple, Yoshi, you two haven't said something in a while. What are your takes?
I mean, if the at-large results we're seeing from Outer Isles are going to be reflected across the country, that would actually be a major upset, and it will certainly be quite interesting to see a government led by Barr. Certainly, in the respect of policy.
I would agree there.
Not really, I would Yoshi's, and I would add on if not of the challenges, which possibly currently I would say that on my perspective it's possible for them to get the plurality. And based on that effect, if the bar cannot find the candidates, they might have to form the second minority government in Haronian history, which could be a difficulty for them given that the conflicts between parties have been heightened through the year, especially in these two terms. And it could be dangerous for them if they will could become the second prime minister who was voted down by no confidence. It's still a dangerous for them if they form a I would say a minority government. And so we get the second district, the Harlon Southeast have gone, I have lost,
All
and
right.
Skip, you have get the vote with 5 votes.
All right, Harlon Southeast has one Bar. Not that well, it's mediocrely surprised. Well, not really, but it has went it's the third round. The NI voters went to Bar, which could indicate a consolidated anti-HPP vote, as opposed to just a whatchamacallit vote. As opposed to a just Bar, NI, or HPP vote. That could be very bad for the HPP at the riding results. So far, these are not good early results for the HPP. We obviously early results so we can't know everything. But at large, Bar is still in the lead, and it is interesting that they are in the lead despite one of the two ridings being a swing and the other one being a safe riding for the HBP. The fact that they're in the lead after that could be a very bad indicator for the HBP for the rest of the night, but obviously we need to see where it goes. Early results don't tell the story. But yes. I think I just saw
would
murder.
say that
okay.
Based on the result compared to what Southeast has did, actually it's more likely that the vote will be like the NI will suffer quite a lot in this election compared to the what they have mean. And in a sense, this is actually more NI leaning voting. So according to what we present, is actually worse than what I have analyzed for myself. Maybe that's why they say that doctor cannot kill himself. Cure himself, cannot fix himself. So it's
Yes.
actually, I congratulations to Scapia and I congratulations to the voters, and I think that they would did a good job on that as serving that candidate. And I would not sell my properties. Trust me, I will still live there, and I will try to campaign for the next election.
All right. So as it stands, bar is currently at. Actually, I'll say that after I update the bar. Give me a second. Oh, pun on accident. But yeah, bar is currently leading and elected inside of 5 seats, and the HPP is leading and elected inside of 3. Which so far, bad start of the night for the HPP. We obviously we don't know everything yet, early results, etc., etc. I'm gonna be saying that quite a lot for a while in case you can't tell, but that's just how the cookie crumbles, and we can't know how it's gonna crumble at the moment. So, I would say when we get to Sealand and when we get to Celia Harlon North or City Center or maybe even Westland, that's when we're gonna start getting a real feeling for how the night's gonna go, and when we can probably get when we get 2 of those districts, there's if those keep up the bar trend, we can probably make a minority projection tonight. If it doesn't keep up with the bar trend, then you still don't know what's gonna happen, so you can't call anything.
I would,
But
I would say that in the current projection, we are projecting one another. It would be I would say it would be either HPV polarity or I would say a BR minority. It would require both parties to at least. I'm actually thinking of a possibility that there could be a airline is out of existence in the parliament, as currently they are doing quite bad, and even bad than I think most of us has predicted in the at-large region. And so it would still result, of course, there are still 4 regions to go, and so we'll have to see whether we can keep those districts. See, it is actually worse than what I think, and worse than I can imagine. But I would say that it is a glorious campaign, and I admit that I've lost. I didn't do well, for some reason.
If NI performs below if NI performs below expectations, for which the expectation is they get into the House, do we think that there's a chance Januka resigns as party leader?
I wouldn't do that assumption, as I think that Adora is still getting our most support, and I guess the direction of him is correct. But the only reason is that we have been, as I've mentioned in the closing speeches in the NI's, I would say, conference, I've mentioned that we have been directionless in the most of the last term, and so that did affect how people seen NI as a political party and a political alliance that were for trustworthy, I would say, voting on. And I can see that those who are anti-sentiments or anti-establishment or anti-HPV votes have been transferred to bar. And so it could be a devastating result for NI, but it would not be the end for Adoris as leader, as I believe that what he campaigned on, what he put forward on is a better path for Harold and a positive campaigning compared to those negative campaigning. But I respect those who have voted, who have stand in this election, as they have done a good job. But I will not overthrow my leader. I'm not going to be next. I don't know. I'm not going to do next Michael Grove or something like that. I'm definitely not going to, you know.
Second.
The current one, I think, counting on. Hold on, the 6 at-large seats. I'm not sure. Possibly it's because that under this election system, it could result an extra seat, extra 1 or 2 seats. So it could result in a much larger parliament than we have imagined. For example, like 12 instead of 11. But still, it gives us some projection on how the things will go on.
Yeah. As it stands, if the at-large vote continues the way it's going, then Barr is not only going to win a majority, but they're going to win fairly comfortable. Which could be interesting, but again, early results can't call anything.
Yeah.
Next riding should be interesting though, because that way we see if this election is still going in the way which it gets harder and harder for the HAP to go back up and I for it to go back up, or if we get closer to a result where it's more equal and we see a competitive election.
No, I agree, but I actually agree with what Wes have mentioned. It's too early to tell now, as only 2 constituencies have been voted, and those NI hold a plurality or hold some sort of leading is still haven't voted on. And so, as a old Chinese saying in the Taiwan election, the trucks are on the bottom and they're still waiting for us to open. So it's still possible for NI to get in parliament, but they are surely, as I can see, that they will possibly fall to the 3rd place if the current trend continues. But still, I do agree that if Bar form a government, I wish them good luck. But let me say something that is not really good. The Bar have been in a quite, I would say, messy in the last term. They have posed a lot of bills and withdrawn a lot of bills. So it is concerning for us if they can govern. But I believe in them. As the voter has given their trust, and I would give my trust to them. But it is worth for them to adjust, as being a governing party is unlike being an opposition party. They have no one to oppose, but they are the one who will be opposite by parties. So they have to change their identity in that seat if that happened.
Yeah, I do think something rather interesting to ask is if Barr forms government, who are the members of the executive council? Because genuinely, what does each Bar candidate, what are they going to prioritize? What are they going to do? Because at the moment, we have vague implications, but we don't really know how well they're going to perform in portfolios and what portfolios they'll go to. That hasn't really been hinted in the campaign, in all fairness. It hasn't really been indicated by the other parties either. But it could be an interesting next couple of weeks in the government formation process if that's the case. And we see who's on the back benches and who's at the front benches.
I would say that if everything goes as Anna has predicted, that Anna will be the kingmaker, and we did not cancel any possibility as we opt to form coalition with both parties. But that was based on the fact that both parties have given us with what matches with the new initiative core values. And so I would say that both parties will have to work, but this was based on NI can proceed in the parliament, which could did not happen. And so, I would say that if the bar did get the votes, I congratulating them, but they have to learn how to be a government party, which NI have to some extent we have tried. And so I hope that the bar will not make the same mistake that we have made before, as I believe that bar are more active, but it still depends on whether they can still stay active on bar or on the government benches. But I wish them good luck, I would say.
Yeah. Overall, we should hopefully get a new district soon. It's been quite a while. But you know, we're waiting on the results of the election, and depending on how they come out, we'll see closer and closer to how the night's going to pan out. Obviously, we don't know the current number. The current numbers are too early. We can't say anything with the current numbers. But
At
it's
least
a
if we
very
got,
bad
like,
start for the HVP.
yeah,
And
if
also
we,
NI.
I would say that
Well, actually,
I would
no, mostly
say
the
that
HVP.
if we got results from Harlon North and I would say more one result for say like city center, then we can call who will win tonight's election. But if this two district will not come, then we cannot actually call the election, I would say, because these two districts are merely the largest one. The result will be out for a few minutes with a reasonable source, and so we'll see.
I do think it is, if we look to the Harlon Southeast vote count, there are seven votes there. There are more registered people there. That is, if we look to the if we look towards the at-large vote, there's if we look to the at-large vote, then that number jumps up to 9. But still, that number is lower than the amount of people who registered in the district, and that could be an indicator at a possibly weaker HVP showing, which could be problematic for them.
I would say it's actually damaging all parties' performances. As I'm a candidate and I share my experience, most of the candidates and most of the voters, for 3 or 4 of them, did not actually use their Discord to join I would say this Discord server, and so I cannot reach them. And one of them has mentioned that he did not want to join the Discord server. So literally, I have no ways except through Minecraft to contact him, which they are not online Minecraft for at least I would say half a month. And so I would say that this is a kind of I would say problematic thing when we do advertisement. But luckily for bar voters, as I do, I would see that bar voters tend to be more active in the district, which is good for them as they are bringing up the activeness. And according to what very Alex have mentioned, it could be voting on the CC, on the city center, which the HV leader Copwith is competing in. This is a two-way race, so it should not be too difficult for us to get the result, I'd say.
Yes. Something I would like to what's it called? I lost my train of thought. Never mind. But
are we putting wrong figures? Because YHPP got 4 in that one, isn't that they only got 3? If there are wrong figures on that, because I show that it's got 4.
Let me see.
Why Aiken is actually moving his.
All right. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. For those only now joining us, so far the result for the HVP has been rather weak. It is not a good start for them. The showing for bar and the early polls are looking good. And in terms of the referendums, both a pass. WBC projects. but we are currently waiting for some of the other districts before we can say anything with definitive standing, because these are 2 early districts and we don't know if it's going to pan out nationally. But yeah. Insofar, Outer Isles has went for the HPP and Harlon Southeast has went for bar. But yes, we are currently awaiting the results. Now, yes. The question, comes in, who do we, as it currently stands, who do we think is going to win tonight?
I would say that it's still too early to call, but I guess that both HGP and BL got their chances if I will put my bets more on HPP, as I believe that they can still win a large vote for some reason, but it could be a much closer race than what we have imagined before. As Bar have performed quite well in districts, especially on Southeast, which is a larger margin than I have expected. In Outer Island, the large vote is actually much bigger than I have imagined. And so I would put my bets on HPP, but Bar could catch with only maybe several votes or 2 to 3 votes behind. So they will tied in the seat count, and it would depends on how the NI performed to show whether if NI can proceed into the parliament, then it is possible for NI to, which they can, the NI would be the kingmaker, but it will might affect the name and possibly the possible, I would say, effect of NI in the upcoming elections, especially presidential elections with 2 months later.
Something I will say is very interesting to look at is the possibility that if it's a narrow tie, the margin is incredibly narrow between Bar or the HPP, but NI doesn't get into Parliament, that automatically grants either one of them a majority, which would that could be very interesting. But if NI does get into Parliament, then that result gets goes higher. Something I would like to say though is that whilst obviously we can't really predict everything, I find it hard to see NI getting from being I find it hard to see NI getting someplace second based on these numbers. I would say it is at this point a race between Bar and the HPP. Harlon Southeast, they should have had a stronger showing.
I don't think so.
I don't think they were gonna win the riding.
Yeah,
and I should have had a stronger showing.
As I've earlier mentioned, when the result does not come out, I have mentioned that Southeast would be a Bar VHPP, but it's just a reason that if NI could not make a close, although it's not close, maybe 2 to 3 votes behind, and so it's actually only reflecting that the Bar wave is actually quite strong, especially when we saw some old players who were last online was actually in 2022, and they are online for Bars this time. So I think that it is actually a quite impressive thing for them to get these old players to back into life. But I would say that Southeast is not a present stronghold for me, and I didn't expect myself to be win, but I did expect myself to possible to proceed in the second round, but turns out I did not. And so actually I would say that in other 3 districts, for example, in Harlon North, in Wesley, and in I would say Sealand, Westland, in Westland, Neslin has won the party, and Jay Adora have made
Oh,
its presence in the polls.
okay, so
District of
Very
District
interesting
of Wesleyan
terms.
have come
Yeah.
with actually, I would say that the Leslin win with one vote, meaning that Leslin have become the
Well,
third MPs from Wesleyan.
something I do think is rather interesting is that Nexelin actively endorsed the HPP during the campaign. So from here he can either sit as an independent in Parliament or actually, well, okay. First, we do need to actually look at the numbers in Westland because 3 votes is not enough to win at large, as far as I'm aware. I could be wrong. Because a candidate needs to win at least enough votes inside of the riding to then proceed at large, which could if they're independent. Otherwise, their independent candidacy gets popped up to the next candidate, if I remember correctly. So therefore, that could mean that Liam could be the Westland MP. Aside from that, the HVP had an incredibly weak showing in this riding. That is not good for them. That is.
I would say this as expected, as according to census, it's actually the only district that did not present with a HPP candidate.
Yes.
And so I would say that with the final preference votes, we can show that the BAL preference more to Netherlands than to New Initiative, which they have kind of like promised it in both privately and publicly. That said, they will publicly endorse New Initiative candidates, which I think is a quite, I would say, a quite important reasons on why this result would be given instead of another result. And based on this result is that because that currently Bar's vote stands in 14 votes, while HPP only stands in 7, meaning that they have gained a majority in the at-large seats when 3 seats have been opened. And so, with these being present, it is possible for us that we will see a BAR majority, which is kind of hard in history for MMP system. And yet, I think the call can be made if Harlon North or Sealand is come as its important result.
If those ridings do not even remotely go HPP, then that is an incredibly weak showing, and I'm not really sure that there's a HPP path to a majority from that point. It depends on how those ridings, how those numbers show up, though. As it stands, NI is on the national board, though. So good for them.
I mean, at least we got 1 seat currently. It is a clapping thing, I would say. Clapping thing, but it's still for tough for them because it's actually kind of, I would say, less optimistic than what we have predicted. And so I would say that when Bar is publicly, I would say the only vote that goes to Bars actually goes to, I would say, Nexelin. It's actually quite an interesting thing compared to like, as earlier Ox have said that Nex is publicly supporting HPP, and yet that Bar voter actually give his vote to the more distance HPPs, XXPP HPP voters than to the, I would say, to NI voters, which got a closer relationship. I think this would be a kind of interesting thing in the next executive council. Meaning, I would say that I would refer that as Bar is still struggling between both parties on which one they should vote or they should support on. The voters or their supporter might have a different opinions with the party executive on what to vote on, and that could be a important reason or important point for the next election, presidential or general election.
I mean, okay. Here's one thing I will say: if Barr comes to power, it will be the first time that a government, that the senior partner in a coalition, or just the ruling party, will be neither HPP nor NI nor one of its predecessors, and that's the first time that's happened since April 2021.
Yes, which
I would say
would be a
that
wild change.
this this is a wild change. I would say that it's actually like unpredicted, and it's like meaning that, as I've earlier have said, that the one-party dominance of HPP, or the so-called two-party system between HPP and NI, have been broken by the BAR, and so it is important for us to continue to consider whether how the political landscape in Harlon will go on.
Yeah,
And I'm quite interested in it.
I would
I'm quite
say
interested in it.
if Barr wins, we are in a new electoral system. That breaks
We're in a new party system.
It breaks the second party system. Or honestly, we might be on the third party system. I'm not really sure, but either way, it's a new party system that comes out of this. This would be a huge upset, and it would also be a huge, just historic event in the country's history, and then Harlonians are going to need to deal with the consequences afterwards, either they be good or bad.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't point that so negatively, as I mentioned, I put my hope on Barr, as we have to believe in the democratic system, as I believe in, and so the voters have given their vote to the BAR, and so it means that they believe that BAR can make something that different from other parties can provide. But the point is, as I've mentioned earlier before, the BR have to learn how to be a government party. Considering that this term they didn't actually act as a government party, more like an opposition party. And so based on that, when they are in the government benches, they have no one to opposite, but they are the one who will be opposite by others. And so, given that is the fact, they have to learn from nothing, and they could risk the same mistake as NI have one proceed in April 2025.
Something
Anyway,
I do think is an interesting note, though, is that insofar we have, aside from, let's say, City Center, we have started out with what could be seen as strong bar districts, maybe, or, well, that's mainly Harlon Southeast, to be fair, but we don't know a result yet. These are still early numbers. The next riding, though, is going to give a far clearer picture as to how the night's going to go, though. Because if that riding goes HPP, then it means there's obviously still a chance. If it goes Bar, then the HPP has a very, very large problem on their hands. And if it goes NI, then NI still on the board. Congratulations. But yeah.
Congratulations,
One very interesting possible thing to look at is the fact that most of Barr's top candidates have never been in government before. So just seeing how that plays out this term might be an interesting point.
Yeah, so I would still put an eye on, although I was optimistic. I'm optimistic about the new government if Barr led it, but I would still say that there are some difficulties for them, and if they cannot overcome, they will suffer, or they will suffer a bigger defeat or similar defeat as NI have did in the past year, in the last election, which then the NI could probably raise, or a new political movement born from the death of BAR could result. But still, I put my emphasis and I put my optimistic on the current Spark possible government, as I've always stated before.
Something to keep in mind, though, is that If Next goes below that 9% margin, then these results change and he is taken off the board. But as it stands, the numbers are currently looking they're currently looking like 4 bar, 2 HPP, 1 independent, and one new initiative. Yeah.
One NR. It will actually surprised that I would say Nestlin can make itself into the parliament, and I'm looking forward for this former prime minister to back into parliament and what we will do, what bills he will raise. I'm actually quite interested in that,
Yeah. I do think that if the results continue as they currently are, then there's gonna need to be a serious look inside of the HPP at the campaign, because this should have been this race should have been a majority win for the HPP. That the polls have shown that, but if it isn't, then there's gonna need to be a look inside of the party, I guess, and see where to go from there. But
Mr. NicheGuy, someone in chat, Very Real Alex, said that he wants you to check another chat.
Okay.
I don't know if it's relevant to the stream or not, so I just wanted to flag.
The result for Harlon North have come, and Adora, as the leader, have won that seat with a 6-4 majority. With the leaders of the bar have been eliminated in the second round, and Leslie was eliminated in the first round. That gives New Initiative 6 votes in total, meaning that they are finally something not far away from the Progress Party, and I congratulate Adora's for his selection as the candidate for that.
Something that should be hold on. So if we go to the district vote for Celia Harlon North, the good news for the HVP here is that they were competing there. They were not eliminated in the first round. Therefore, obviously, they still have a shot. It now comes down to what they're showing looks like in Sealand and City Center. I do think at this point, though, we can rule out a HPP majority government. I don't see. I'm not sure I see a realistic path to a HPP majority government. This is going to be a
either plurality government or HPP plurality government.
Yeah, we are more than likely gonna see a minority parliament, which it's gonna be very interesting to see how that plays out. But yeah, another minority in Harlonian history. Something we should keep in mind is that Nex is now below 9%, meaning he's no longer on the board. He's no longer making it into parliament unless he gets additional votes in city center. And he can't get additional votes in Sealand because he's not in Sealand. So if he gets enough votes in city center, then he makes it into parliament. If he doesn't, then he's off the board. And then
Actually, I was thinking if that actually he was elected. So actually, will he be still count in the national list? I don't think so.
All his well, I'm actually sure if his other district votes count towards his national list.
I'm sure that.
But if that isn't the case, then he's just not making it to parliament already. But if that is the case, then he still has a shot, but it's becoming a lot narrower because of City Center. But yes. As it stands, insofar, terrible showing for the HPP.
This is a horrific night for the HPP. I can
yeah, there's no real way to sugarcoat this. This is a very bad showing.
I would say that it is a good night for BL voters, as till now, in the largest ever constituency, they have won a considerable vote. And so that would give them, I would say, at around 4 to 5 votes. And that would ensure them, if they, with the help of HPP or NI, or at least NI and HPP are not voting in the cabinet formation proposal, and they will be able to form a government in a minority stance. But it's definitely possible, as Niche have or said before, the Haronians will only have a plurality parliament in the next term election, meaning that we will have a hung parliament, but not I would say, a majority parliament, unless the bar have made significant gains in city center and Sealand, which is technically unable to do so, as they are two quite small districts compared to the largest district.
If Sealand at large does not go for the HPP, then there is no. I personally believe that there is no realistic path towards them winning a plurality, and that puts Bar in first place. If Sealand's at large does go in the direction of the HPP, then it comes down to city center, which I suppose even if we change the electoral system, we always come back to Harlonian Plaza. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we can actually see that how actually success, or at least I would say how actually this electoral system has caused the Haronian to choose their favorite candidate. And I would say that winning a majority or even near the majority is so hard for parties. So I think Bar did get most of voters' trust. And I do hope that Bar can put their trust into real government. I think that if they can do that, then it will be a good thing. It will be a massive good thing for them.
Yeah.
And so we were 2 districts, and I'm not sure what will happen in the next. Okay, and actually there are 2 more, I would say 2 more spoil vote. So 2 more spoil vote. One of them showed Jang as Dora as their first choice, Karaka as their second choice, Nexlin as their third choice, and Pro of Survival as their fourth choice. While the another one showed Pro of Survival as their first choice, Nexlin as second choice, Dora on third choice, and Karaka on fourth choice. These 2 are the spoil ballot in the Harrow North district.
Something I do think is interesting is that Celia Harlon North went so strongly for NI that they won in the they didn't win in the they did not win in the first round. Sorry, they didn't win the third round. They didn't win the second round. They won the first round. They got an outright majority. They
definitely.
Yeah, they swept the district. Which was largely seen as a HPP Bar toss-up, which is sorry, not HPP Bar, HPP NI toss-up, which it is also interesting that of all of those rounds, not one of the votes that didn't go for NI in round 1 went to them. They all went to the other candidates, and they went to Pro. Or, well, I suppose one of the votes seemingly disappeared. I don't know how, but it is an interesting result in the writing. And it could be a larger indicator of the night. But yeah.
Yo, Nick.
Yeah.
And everyone, thanks for having me, but I gotta go now.
All right.
But it has been a really crazy outturn for this these votes. But pretty interesting nonetheless.
Thanks for coming.
So anyways, thank you
Thanks
for
for
having me.
Yeah.
And yeah.
All right.
I would say the election outcome in this election is so fun that we do think that it is more like if any candidate lose in the let's just say that if Adora lose in that district, I would call it a popular moment, you know,
Yeah.
popular moment. I would say, and turns out he didn't lose. And actually, the majority of he winning is actually larger than we have expected. We didn't expect it an outright majority.
But yeah, either way, no matter what comes out tonight, the HPP has massively underperformed as compared to their polling numbers, or at least what they were polling previously, which interesting for them. We don't know how that's gonna go, but yeah, it means that the polls which have been coming out, obviously Serena, there's a chance that Serena's last poll is the result we see here tonight, but we just don't know yet. And if so, that means Serena is the most effective pollster in the country, and blah blah blah. Yeah. Yes.
Honestly, I think that as Ox is here or other, I don't know. I don't see actually. I don't actually see other bar supporter here. But I would say that if bar have the time, and they can might start to formulate at least their cabinets, no matter is for the opposition cabinet or for the government or for the executive council, they might have to start drafting it soon, drafting their own cabinet list.
Yeah, the numbers coming out tonight are well, they're numbers, put bluntly, and they're not numbers that the HPP would have probably seen. They're not ones that the HPP expected, I would presume, and they're not ones that the public expected in terms of polling. Well, as it stands, each party was largely confident, I would say. So, I suppose it was expected in the bar camp, but
Okay, in Sealand, NicheGuy have won the seat with 5/4 seat, which is a just majority one, and there's no candidate, so it will be a FTTP. With the
Sealand
new
results are in.
yeah, I saw.
Yeah.
Congratulations, this guy, for your election. While the initiative kind of funny is that they actually gain more vote share than the NI, which gives them actually one vote, only one vote behind in the list, in the party list, which is kind of surprising. I would say surprising result for it. But still, with winning that vote, I would say that the HPP is still can win at they have won 3 seats, while the bar have won 4 seats. And if the next seat comes to NI, or which we've got no NI candidates, so the NI's winning will only be 2 seats around, and so it's confirmed that NI will got 2 seats, and so it will still depend on us whether we're HPP plurality or bar plurality. Depends on how big they will each party will win in the city center.
Yeah, as it stands, city center is inside the election because the numbers in terms of the at-large vote, they are actually numbers that the HPP could theoretically come back from to place first. It's unlikely at the moment, but it's possible. Meaning, it's going to be a close final leg of the race, and honestly, I wouldn't be too surprised if this is what the Senate actually intended. I haven't been looking at what they've been saying, but I would not be very surprised at all if this, like, they save City Center for last for the specific reason. But yeah. Overall, this the fact that the HVP has won Sealand should be a huge relief. That if they lost Sealand, then this bad night would get even worse, and they wouldn't really have a path to getting first place. But as it stands, they still do have a path. Something rather interesting though is that in terms of the Sealand at large vote, NI won. The bar vote went for the HVP candidate. So there isn't necessarily always a anti-consolidatory there isn't always a anti-HPP vote in places, but that is interesting that it swings in specific ways.
I would not say, but actually that's why I would say partly because why BAL can get such a large vote share is merely because they are not standing on a traditional anti-HPV campaign. They are anti-HPV, but also trying to absorb voters from so-called, let's say, the opposition, such as the New Initiative. And so that's why they will get a seat, or they can handily get a seat, as they are actually like a party between the two traditional parties and gain their votes from both parties. And so I would say that it's a surprising result in Sealand. And I would say that in meaning that actually quite a lot of BR voters actually vote themselves to the HPP. And so it's actually, I would say that the last seat might go to the hands of HPP or BAR because it's actually quite a marginal one and still depend on how we see that. But turns out, congratulations, Niche.
Thank you.
I wonder. I wonder if there could be like a really like a creaky but still a potential coalition between the HPP, NI, and Nexalin.
Well, as it stands,
wait a minute. Did the result in I don't know why they got a round 4? We put a round 4 in Wesleyan.
Because the reason why is because seemingly the Senate has determined that Nex has no path to victory, so he was eliminated. Although I'm not sure why he was eliminated last. I would presume that it's meant to be that he's eliminated in a earlier round instead, as to ensure that the district actually is
I would say congratulations, Liam.
Yeah, congrats,
it's a good
Liam.
fight. And late congratulations, you should say, as we didn't expect that, you know.
Yeah.
No, actually, congratulations, Liam. You have done a good job on that, and that would give the NI in 3 seats a similar one to HPP, which is kinda possibly be the result that actually I'm curious on why Nexlin will just been eliminated. Is this some kind of technical errors?
No, it's because or do you mean eliminated
They
late
make
or
but they made the 9% line?
What?
He then made to the 9% line, is it?
Huh?
I mean, by his eliminator, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that.
Nex is eliminated because in order to get into Parliament as an independent, you need to have at least 1 seat's worth in terms of the national vote as well as winning your riding.
Oh, so he lost it in like several votes away. So, you know, congratulations, late congratulations, and I guess that's all what NI can get. 3 seats is actually quite similar to what we have expected, and the only seats would matter, and we can now project that. Have we made the call that
we have not made the call yet?
Have we called that would be a plurality government? There will be a
well, we have called that it will be a minority government. There's going to be a minority government. I don't have a graphic for that, but when we do have a government call, as in who's gonna win, I do have a graphic for that. So stay tuned. But yeah. Yeah, overall,
this is a personal. This is my opinion. This is not like predicting. This is not like WPC NBC like official prediction. I think at this point, with both the HPP and NI having 3 seats each, there could be a 1 seat majority coalition between the HPP and NI. I could very much see that happening due to relations between the HPP and NI improving in recent months, especially with the election of Yannicki as the leader of NI.
I would say that this is a good improvement. Actually, I mentioned that compared to our relationship with BAR, actually NI works quite well with both parties. But during the election, I would say we work much towards the HPP, I would say, especially when we endorse Copewiz in its city center. And if, as the last seat have concluded, if indeed NI get its vote in, at least HPP get its vote, get a seat in city center, then it would be a great result for the possible coalition between HPP and NI if both party leaders agree on something that they think is important. But yeah, that's Yoshi, Adora, and Adora tell you to like take care because he heard you often coughing. But yeah, turns back to the place. So it depends on the city center. If they give them a city center, then it would depends. It should be the city center. Then it would depends on how the NI choose their partners. Whether is with the more like I don't say like-minded because NI is actually quite like-minded between two parties. But I would say that with the BAR, which work through the budget crisis in the last December, or they will work with HPP, which have brand themselves as new leaders, new leadership styles, and improve the relationship. So it is still worth, I would say, it is still worth concerning, even me as a NI insiders, I would say. I can call myself NI insiders actually, I would say. This election, after I actually say that it's going to be Copeland's, but I would say that this election have too much accident, and I don't believe in something I predicted. I'm gonna say that I believe the stacks, not the prediction. I would say this election had given me too much surprise. I would say.
This has been a very interesting election to see the results come through. It's I think widely not what people expected. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's been an election. Frankly put, it's also been very fun to cover. Because of the new system. But yes.
The new system actually makes the thing quite exciting, I would say.
I would agree.
Quite exciting.
Yeah.
I might be slightly biased though, obviously. it's
but, when our panel desk actually got all three parties represented for their voting or their supporters or their members, it's not biased anymore because the balance is like, oh, when you're biased, then I'm a bit biased. When our bias is balanced, it's kind of like that. So I actually quite think that we can continue with these such like you may say united or or say a shared production desk. It would be fun. And Adora got an examination today, and he still didn't sleep in 4:30. What the?
Yeah, he
Gosh.
Probably shouldn't be staying up so late.
He's too excited. He told me he's too excited for the result, and so he wants to see how North would go. He don't want to be next Portillo, Michael Portillo. He say he don't want to be next Michael Portillo. So it's so fun.
I will say when the results for City Center come in, we're almost definitely going to make the call then and there. I mean, like it's a bit hard not to make the call there, but yeah.
It's hard to force Mexico, and it's much slimmer majority than we have ever expected before.
Yes.
So
I've
never expected that.
I don't really. Theoretically, Bar could win a majority if, like, literally every single city center vote went for them, but I don't really see that happening. So, it's almost definitely going to be a plurality, a minority or parliament. The question is, how big is the minority, and if HPP pulls ahead of Bar.
I would say anyway we will update the bar below the show or below update the parliament bars. We'll update that.
Yeah, I'm doing that right now.
There is another thing that like worth mentioning is that like it is actually like it is definitely possible that the NI will fall to possibly the third place in the at-large national vote, given that it is not possible for them to get so much vote in the city center voting station. And moreover, it is still possible for Right to boost if they got some more votes. So a large result, I would say that it would be Bar, HPP, and NI. Although NI and HPP is actually tossing up now in the at-large vote.
Yeah. When City Center comes in, we're gonna know the results, I guess. But we're just waiting on final polling location. What do you guys? Final predictions. This is your last possible chance.
I would keep my one. I would say 4-4-3. 4 HPP, 4 PAR, and 3 NI. That's my final prediction. I would give that.
All right. Yoshi.
And I ask 8 million people.
Well, I think that there's gonna be four bar, 4 Harlon, and 3 NI. Four HPP. Sorry.
So 4-4-3 is essentially what you're saying.
Yeah, 4-4-3.
All right. What about you?
Right now, I would say that there will be probably an HPP member winning in the city center, which would result in a like 5-3-3. I'm pretty sure.
I believe that would be 4-3-3. I could be wrong because the current numbers, yeah, it would be 4-4-3. If the HPP wins City Center.
And it's only the at-large voting changes.
Yeah, something.
Is also a thing.
It would be interesting if the all right, as it stands, the HPP is getting 1 at-large vote, and Bar is getting and then Bar is getting 4 at-large seats right now, I think, or there should be. Wait. Yeah, no, they should be. So narrowest, and then NI is, NI currently has all their seats. So technically, at the moment, City Center is going to change that theoretically, but the race is very close. Too close to call, as we say in the business.
Too close to call. Something you would see in the 2000s, I'll say 2010s, 2004, 2008 Canadian election. Something we'll have from there. Too
Yep.
close to call.
My eyes are glued on the screen. But
But actually, it's kind of fun when you look at the spoil vote. Actually, one of the vote that should go to the city center actually goes to the Westland side. Actually, it's quite funny. It's quite funny. One of those that vote macro as first, Cookwiz as second, and Flynn as third actually goes to the Westland voting station, which does not count. Will that affect the House composition in the upcoming final election result? It is still worth to notice, but it is kinda a surprise signal for us, I would say.
something I do think is interesting, and that we should know, is that if the is that the HPP theoretically, if every in an incredibly unlikely scenario, if the HPP or NI, if every single vote right now in city center went to them, they could theoretically win a majority government. That's how the math works. It's not going to happen. I'll be blunt. I'll be honest, and it's not going to happen. But they could theoretically. But that does mean that they could get. But something that is actually realistic is that they could get close to a majority government. And it would be if NI somehow places first from say center. I will say that would be very funny. I'm not sure how, but but it'll be interesting to see how the result pans out. Yeah. As it stands, we are still awaiting the last polling location.
Actually, it's like, as Muffin has mentioned, it's like there's 16 spoiled vote only in district.
Only in city center?
Yeah, so it's actually kind of
16 spoiled. Wow.
kinda, I would say, amazing. Or what on earth is going on?
Yeah. Well, I'm presuming most of those would probably be district votes, and that would imply that if there's 16 spoiled district votes, then it's probably closer to somewhere around 6 actual votes from the district, which would imply that the district is having a low turnout because it's one of the more populated districts, if I remember correctly, of the country. So that could either benefit BAR or the HPP. Not sure. But depending on who those at-large votes are for, that is going to be really interesting to see. Yes. For those now joining us, or only now joining us, WBC has projected that both constitutional both referendums have passed, and that at the moment we are going to see a minority parliament in the upcoming parliament. We are not yet declaring which party is going to lead in that minority parliament, but it's going to be a minority. And the parties are going to have to work together. Yes. If it comes that Bar's in the lead, there's going to need to be serious questions within the HPP on how they clean up house and in what direction they go. Because, bluntly put, this was not supposed to happen. There needs to be a serious analysis on how it happened, on why it happened, and what can be done to prevent it again. Otherwise, there's very big problems. But yeah. As it stands, we still are awaiting the numbers, which we are actually nearing our number 3 of polls being closed. So technically speaking,
given Muffin's complaining about spoiled ballots a minute ago, I'm pretty sure we're pretty close to a result in City Center.
Yeah,
so,
which is rather interesting because this is actually, I believe, as long as it took to count the ballots in, I believe, was it October of last year, because senators weren't really available immediately, so it took a while to count the ballots, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So we're gonna need to see if it is a Bar-led parliament or HPP-led parliament, and we don't know which number it's gonna go first at the moment. But yes. We should hopefully be strong results. Yes. The question is now, will CodeWiz have to go to Battle River Crowfoot? Or it would be very funny if he lost the riding, but then the HPP won the popular vote.
Yeah.
Yeah. We gotta see where the numbers fall.
I would say that looks like, because as the nearest police station to the spawn, which is just blocks away, that could cause a pointer, I would say, large. We have to check if one ballot is valid, so they are struggling on that ballot.
I would agree that is almost definitely the reason why this place is having the most poll ballots and why it's taking so long to count.
I would say that means we'll get the result in, I would say, 3 to 5 minutes, and as they're counting on the final ballot. And next thing is yelling, "Let's go." Good one. Oh, I'm gone again. Why? Oh no, I'm gone because I walked to somewhere else. I don't know who have a polarity in the parliament. Yeah. Anyway, I'm guessing when can I get my places in when can I get my place in the parliament? I've been elected twice. I'm guessing if I guess I can win the third time. Always the next time. I would say always the next time. Oh, and it takes me many times to write the page for this election because it's like a major upset, which was predicted as a tie, and turns out it has become a kinda like a BAR led. Okay, now finished. We're ready for publish. And we'll
Hey,
get it
time
in
to
like
spam the refresh button, folks.
guess
Yeah,
what?
time to
I'm doing it.
time to spam Control F5.
I'm doing the same thing.
We're gonna
We're
take
gonna
down the
crash.
website.
Are we gonna crash the? I guess we'll crash the. I would say we'll crash the database behind it. I'm lucky that Muffin is not listening to that.
Honestly, I
else
would
he
not be
blame
too
us.
surprised if he's watching the stream, so I'm not.
Muffin, if you're watching the stream, rig the election so
Heard
that
that.
NicheGuy gets 0 votes.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Oh no, you got betrayed. It's that. That's that. I guess we'll get the results soon, but it's very soon.
Very soon. Any second now.
We all know. But actually, counting on after this election, actually got quite many upsets in make upset. Like surprise for us. Like for example, actually, the new initiative barely lost. Oh, Codewiz.
Codewiz has
Congratulations,
won the
Codewiz.
riding, but the at-large vote has went for NI.
Meaning that
meaning
bar.
The NI will be reduced.
Sorry, not
to
NI, not NI.
two-
Bar. Yeah. NI is down to
two seats. We nothing in the mid one. Bar will win 5 seats, HPP will win 3 seats, and the NI will win 2 seats.
Yes,
This would
so,
means that
I will say WBC is we are
Projected.
ready to make the call.
Final.
I am incredibly
Okay, that is
the
not
Sophie
hold on,
Electorate
wait, okay.
and Parliament
Give me a second.
chose a government that will lead Holland.
Okay. Give me a second. All right. WBC is officially projecting a Right to All Booze led coalition government or parliament. Theoretically, the other parties could work with each other to avoid a bar government, but we are projecting that bar is the largest party in parliament.
Well, the BTP is also making the call finally. I'm still representing that. The BDP is now making a call that Iranians the next government will be a BAR majority government, while it depends on BAR whether they will work with other parties to secure their one seat raising majority.
Yes.
Other than that, well, I would say the enlarged one didn't update actually. The enlarged vote didn't actually update.
Oh wait, the at-large vote hasn't updated yet?
What's the at-large
Yeah.
vote?
No, it just
Enlarged
updated.
one.
It just updated.
Actually, wait, no. No, wait, because DC's right. The at-large vote's still the same. It was 14-14 and 22, I think. right?
I mean, technically, the seat was given, allocated. The finalists were allocated, but they didn't actually update the total number of votes. Although we can just calculate them, So it will be like, as I have mentioned before, Rights of Booze wins like 22 plus 14, and Harlon Progress Party wins 6, win 20, and New Initiative win 15.
I calculated it. Bar has 50.7.
Yeah, if we count all of them, okay. Yeah. So actually, by the total vote, they actually got a narrow. I would say, a narrow
Majority.
That is
with only one vote.
that is a really small majority.
All right. In that case, I need to
I would say
update the call. Give me a second. I need to take out
good
the other
one,
graphic.
but I mean, but yet they are winning the majority government as they
Right.
win 1 seat, and their seats are enough for 5 seats.
All right.
Take all in the election.
WBC is ready to make the actual call because apparently we made the wrong one before. We are projecting a bar majority government. Apparently we made the wrong call before. That's our bad. But yeah, this is a major upset and a incredibly bad night for the HPP. I cannot reiterate this enough. This has been a terrible night.
I think NI has also had a very terrible night, and even worse is a terrible morning because they're going to wake up in less than 2 hours.
Yeah. Look,
guess what? I haven't slept.
The last poll projected HPP supermajority, and at the moment, they're now in the opposition. NBAR has a majority. It's quite hard to understate how bad of a situation this is for them. But yeah. This
Muffin have mentioned that he will check the CC votes again, but still he thinks that all things will be good. And so, well, congratulations.
I think the next question on behalf of Union Post is asked, will Adola Lee or Code resigned due to this failure of the general election result?
I don't think it's his responsibility to resign, as he actually did perform much better than we have expected in the at-large vote. I don't think he is going to resign, I would say. He did perform as
that is a
expected.
legitimate question that does need to be asked, though, on if both the leaders will resign and what direction they're going to take their parties or how they're going to proceed. But this this has been an election, certainly to say.
This has been definitely an election.
But yeah.
I mean, Code now has to face a vote, an internal vote, as far as I remember, on whether or not the HPP is confident in him as leader.
If I remember correctly, yes. We made a charter amendment recently at the last convention where a vote is automatically triggered in the party chair in case a majority isn't won. So yes, Code will be facing the party, but this is a.
I think he's still being positioned.
Yeah. It's up to the party, but it's a devastating night for anyone who isn't bar. Quite simply put, it's.
I wouldn't say I'm totally defeated. I think that actually it might go like that, but I would say that I would give my point to I would my like as a citizen, I would say that I prefer the bar to work, despite that work quite bad in the opposition. I would say that being in government is different from being in opposition, and therefore they have to learn what is manner and how they can be I would say polite government in the government benches. Although I congratulate them and I trust them that they will bring the country to a better places.
Yeah.
And yeah, time for me to update this,
Yeah.
Gosh.
as it stands, and I outperformed polls. HVP grossly underperformed. There's going to need to be serious insight as to what went wrong, as I've said previously. And it's quite hard to understate how poor of a result this is for the Harlon Progress Party. This is their, I believe, worst result since October 2024, which is definitely interesting considering they've enacted policies throughout the past term. But yeah, I suppose the question comes in on transition and who's going to serve as ministers and how government's going to proceed, etc., etc. But yeah, I should probably eat in real life soon, so I am gonna wrap up this thing. But do any of us have final notes?
This is an utterly horrifying result for the HPP. And this results in the first government that wasn't formed by the HPP or by NI or its predecessor or both parties or the predecessors of both parties since April of 2021, when Harlon still was in its first party system. It's honestly an unprecedented result.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing, honestly. But yeah. All right, and with that, we are gonna be calling it night here at WBC. Thank you for watching. We are gonna keep you up to date on the government formation process. We're gonna keep you up to date on the on other things, especially through our partners at the Harlon at the Harlon Times. And thank you for watching, and I hope you tune in for our future broadcast. Have a good one. And